The Spanish Announce Table.
You have found Pro Wrestling's best podcast, and it is our 10-year anniversary show. We've got folks in the chat. We've got Katie First Lady saying happy 10 years. Once again, thanks for all the good content. We've got Jeffrey Todd saying, I'm tingling with anticipation. Let's get this show started. Josh Smith says, where are these fools? Because we were taking a little bit of a time getting on, and Tom told him we're coming on in a minute, and that's because it's the 10-year anniversary. So what, of course, had to happen, Tom?
We had technical difficulties.
Yeah. We did one thing that we do every single week nearly, and different results forced us to kind of retool some things. This is how it goes.
That great?
In the Spanish Announce Table lore of 10 years of doing this. And Tom, I'd like to let you know that I currently, right now, in honor of 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table, am wearing the original Spanish Announce Table t-shirt with the hashtag Tweet the Table on the back. These are the shirts that you remember you didn't get sent out in a timely fashion
to our
winners.
That was
if you'll
all
remember.
Of you. No, we got enough new people that listen that you're taking the fall on this shit. That was all. I got the goddamn shirts made.
All
and
I
then
know
you were
is,
supposed to send them
all
out.
I know is you never sent them shirts out.
Yeah, because you were supposed to. Oh my god.
So
hey. Well, I like that because you're wearing the old one and I'm wearing the new one. Then
which means
Pro Wrestling Tees.
You all should go to Pro Wrestling Tees and get our new one. So you won't be reliant on Tom or Tim, whomever may be at fault, to send you these shirts. And let's be honest, it's better quality than this one, right? If you've known Pro Wrestling Tees before, if you've shopped there before, you already know. And if you don't know, listen to those of us in the know and get you some Pro Wrestling Tees merchandise. It's great. ProWrestlingTees.com/Spanish Announce Table, or you can find it at SpanishAnnounceTable.net. There's a link on there, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Subscribe to get all of our content sent to you daily or sometimes more than once daily. You do not have to subscribe to anything if you want to access our content. It's free to subscribe, but you can go directly to SpanishAnnounceTable.net and just tell them no thanks when they ask for that email, and then you can go there. But if you want it delivered so you can have it at your fingertips whenever you're ready, subscribe completely free, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Tom, 10 years. 10 years of doing this. Did you wonder if we would make 10 episodes?
No, we always say that. No.
Yeah.
No, I thought you would flake out and fizzle out, and then I just keep doing MMA shows.
I would fake out. Right. Yeah, look, I didn't send the shirts out. I would flake out. I'm clearly the less responsible member of the Spanish Announce Table, right? Over the 10 years. That's clearly
no, not that you're the less responsible. I thought you were the less committed. There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, we are committed. 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. We did.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh. It's not my fucking fault. I didn't do it. Okay. I didn't fucking do it, Josh. Yeah. And you know it.
Yeah. Well, maybe he knows. He knows what's really up. Listen, 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. Join us live in the chat each and every week, like these folks are doing now. We do this live each and every week on Thursday nights at precisely, without fail, on the dot, exactly 7:15-ish U.S. Central Standard Time Zone, Arrowhead time, as Tom refers to it. Right? You like that?
Isn't that great?
Arrowhead time. So this is the 10-year anniversary special. This is a jam-packed, mega-sized episode. We are going to do some fun stuff in celebration of 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. And then when we're done with that, we're going to do our regular show. You thought you weren't going to get our regular show? 2 to the face, right? We're giving you the anniversary show and the real show because, quite frankly, we deserve it and you deserve it. Right, Tom? You ready for all this?
Indeed.
Getting excited?
I am.
Tom,
let's do it.
Let's remind you, right? 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. Now, it's July 27th, 2023. We did the first Spanish Announce Table, or at least it was available for download or air, on July 24th, 2013. Okay? A long time ago. And I want to take you on, we normally take a trip back in time, but today we're going to take 2 trips back in time, because on this first one I've got a fun game for you to play, right? And it involves some things about 2013.
No Christ. Okay.
Yeah? All right. So you ready to strap it on, and get in the Spanish Announce, something like that, get in the Spanish Announce time machine and go back in time And we're going to talk about who were pro wrestling's biggest champions on July 24th, 2013. Okay?
Yep,
all right.
Okay.
Let's swing over first in the Ring of Honor world, Tom. Who was the Ring of Honor World Champion on July 24th, 2013?
Jay Lethal?
Jay Lethal is a good guess. It's a good guess, but it's not Jay Lethal. Got any more? Or do you just want me to? You can always tell me when you just want to give up.
No, I'll do two guesses to keep
right.
it moving here. I would say 2013 Kevin Steen.
Kevin Steen. It's a trick question coming right out of the gate because it was nobody. The title was vacated on July 3rd. It's nobody, not a damn person. Adam Cole would win that title in September at Death Before Dishonor 11. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like this trip. But we're staying in Ring of Honor. July 24th, 2013, the birth of the Spanish announce table. The Ring of Honor World Television Champion was...
No one.
Matt Taven. Yeah, I'll just give you Matt Taven. I didn't think you'd ever come to this one.
No.
Now, you might get who the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions were.
Briscoe Brothers.
Close, but they have a fun lore here in the Spanish announce table.
The Young Bucks?
No. It's Red Wagon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, Red Wagon.
Wagon. Now, they would only hold those titles for 4 more days because they would lose them on the 27th of July to the Forever Hooligans, a team of Alex Kozlov and Rocky Romero.
Oh, Rocky Romero's still doing it.
All right. So, again, we are taking this fun trip. Back in time. Talking about things that happened, or the pro wrestling champions that were on July 24th, 2013, the first edition of the Spanish Announce Table, Pro Wrestling's Best Podcast. The TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Tom, was who?
Oh,
we probably would have talked about it, right?
Motherfucker. Is it Jeff Jarrett?
It's not Jeff Jarrett. 2013. Was he still here? Maybe he was.
Who knows?
Oh, yeah. No, he definitely was. I'm sure he was. Yeah. No, it's not Jeff Jarrett.
All right.
Jeff Jarrett's not on this list at all of any pro wrestling champions. I'll spare you that. Jeff Jarrett is not on any of these lists. So
13.
Hint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry that I had to disappoint you with your favorite wrestler not being on the list.
Yeah, damn. Too bad.
He's been a champion many times in his career, but not on July 24th, 2013.
I'm going to guess 13. Is that probably Bobby Lashley?
It was Chris Sabin, who had just won this title 5 days prior at Destination X after willingly relinquishing his X Division title in exchange for a world title match.
No, okay. Yeah,
So then the TNA X Division champion
was
Manic, who had won that title after he had, because he gave it up at the same event. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Manic, who was Suicide and has been, 4 different people have played that guy.
All the fucking people, yeah.
TNA Knockouts champion on July 24th, 2013.
I'd
have been at Arby's.
Mickey James.
Mickey James.
I don't like that. I knew that fucking reference. Oh, yeah.
Have the meats. The TNA Television Champion, Tom, on July 24th, 2013. The birth of the Spanish Announce Table.
The what now? Who?
The TNA Television Champion, which I think was later the Legends title, that one they have with the red belt, and the Booker T had it for a while. And give me an X Division mainstay. I'll give you that.
AJ Styles?
Ooh, close.
Who?
Abyss. Abyss. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so now we'll get into something maybe at the time you were probably following a little more closely, and we're going to head over to the WWE world of things. Back in time. We're going to talk about the WWE Champion. And by that, I mean the World Champion, but they had 2. Right. So who was the WWE Champion on July 24th, 2013? The birth of Pro Wrestling's Best Podcast, the Spanish Announce Table.
13.
13.
I'm still wearing a CM Punk shirt. But I do remember 13 at the Royal Rumble. He lost it to The Rock. But by that time, you had already had WrestleMania. 13 is WrestleMania 29. So John Cena?
John Cena, after he had defeated The Rock at WrestleMania 29 to win the title, was still the champion on July 24th. Nice deduction. Nice.
Look at my big ass brain. Look at this big brain.
Things. Look at that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes. All right, so then the World Heavyweight Champion, wearing the big gold at the time, I believe still, was?
Randy Orton.
Close. No,
Didn't they combine it?
Not close. At 2013, it was not Randy Orton, but that's a good guess because, he held that title quite a bit. But no, this was a different superstar, no longer with the company. I'll give you that hint.
29. Wasn't Brian, or it wasn't Daniel Bryan.
This was July 24th, 2013.
July
Birthplace of the
25th.
Spanish Announce Table. We're looking who WWE's World Heavyweight Champion was, the big gold.
I'm gonna. Oh my God! I'm gonna guess.
You love this guy.
No, it's not Jack Swagger, is it?
No, not Jack Swagger.
Oh.
It's Alberto Del Rio.
That was close. Those
Yeah,
same
right.
fucking people.
That's what I mean. That's why I was saying, like, you're in the main event picture of these guys, right? Yeah, that's why I was saying close. Now, the WWE Intercontinental Champion on July 24th, 2013. We've talked about him recently holding the IC title in one of these On This Day segments. Yeah.
On this day. Intercontinental, because the US I think was Dean Ambrose, but the Intercontinental,
I'm giving you that one. That was the very next question: is who was the WWE United States Champion? And it was Dean Ambrose. Yep.
Because he never defended it. He had it for
Right.
like 7 years and never defended it. Intercontinental Champion 2029. Big E.
Big E. Good guess. It is Curtis Axel.
Oh, because he was fucking in Kansas City when he won the fucking thing.
Yeah, good old hurt his asshole. By the way, I forgot to mention Josh in the chat here. Not only did he submit a call that we'll play later, as a bunch of you have sent in calls, emails, various things here, videos that we will play here in celebration of the Spanish Announce Table. Big Josh also submitted a donation, which you can do on SpanishAnnounceTable.net. You can donate via Cash App or PayPal and become the beer sponsor of the week. And so we've got ourselves some beer. I've got myself, it's called High Contrast. It is a Belgian-style wheat ale with Cara orange peel and coriander. Fancy like that.
Yeah, well, that sounds foreign. I got Steve Austin's Broken Skull American Lager, like a true American on a 10-year anniversary. You drink American on any anniversary.
American. Torn Label Brewing Company.
Okay. You're saying over there, what were you saying over there?
This is Torn Label Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri, by the way.
Well, you're talking these weird ingredients. I don't believe it. They imported in. It's not a real beer. No, it's really, really good. But this is actually pretty good.
It's very good.
This is actually, now I've done the holy trinity of Steve Austin beers. Now I've had all three on the Spanish Announce Table.
But
the one
you have not done all three on the Booty O's and then ate the Booty O's with, which is a video that exists.
Yeah, that is.
Folks,
yes.
New listeners to the Spanish Announce Table, just search in the Facebook or the Twitters and just try to find Tom eating Booty-O's with not milk, but Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA.
You might not want to do a Google search on that. Your fucking suggested ads might be a little weird.
True that. But of course, when you're the beer sponsor of the week, when you send us money and tell us to go pick up some beers that we'll drink here on the show, we are then obligated. I feel like, morally and contractually obligated to tell everybody how great you are. Did you know Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker? Did you know his beard is as soft as the finest cashmere sweater?
His beard belongs in a shampoo commercial. Mm-hmm. That's how good it is.
I heard Patrick Mahomes is trying to get his next haircut to look like Big Josh's beard.
I heard puppies and kittens share photos of Big Josh amongst each other.
I think that's true. I did hear that. Yeah. I heard Big Josh is going to be the next president of the United States just because everybody's going to write him in. I
bet Big Josh does his crossword in ink.
Ooh, he
just
does.
says, I'm fucking confident. Look at this motherfucker. I know this.
But that's
7
only
down.
because he already looked at it, knew all the answers, and then just could commit that to like a photographic memory and write it down without reading the questions anymore. He says, my beard needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Josh does in the chat. This is a reminder. So many ways to interact with us, right? please join us live as we're doing this, but that's not the only way to interact with us on the show. You can use hashtag tweet the table. Go on to Twitter, X, I guess they call it. Go on to X.
I ain't fucking calling it that.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. Nobody's going to go on to X now and like follow us and start if they're not already there. If you're already there, stay doing it. We'll do the hashtag tweet the table while it exists. This thing's crashing and burning soon. It's going to get sold off. It's going to be like MySpace. So while it exists, feel free to use hashtag tweet the table. We got one of those that I'll read later in the show. And you can also email us, tableshow@gmail.com. But we exist on a slew of social medias. TikToks, Threads, Instagram, Facebook.
All of it. All
YouTube.
of it.
All of that available at SpanishAnnounceTable.net. All the links are there. And that's where you're going to know, hey, oops, we got to do the show Wednesday. Hey, we're going to start late, right? Those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with us and please talk to us because we want more of this. We want to engage with the Table Nation.
Hell yeah.
So now let's get back to our list here, Tom, right? Because we have the great Big Josh. We'll talk more about how great Big Josh is supplying us this tasty malt beverages here. Tom, who was the WWE Divas Champion on July 24th, 2013?
Fucking Christ. Nikki. Yeah, that was the best part of this part. Fucking Nikki Bella.
No. You might like who was the WWE Divas Champion at the time.
AJ Lee.
Yeah, it was only those two, wasn't it? All right.
Yeah. Well, because the only thing that not the only thing, but she was a good wrestler. But obviously her biggest moment, in my opinion, the most notable was when she says talent isn't sexually transmitted when she was talking to the Bellas. That was a fucking fire line. That is one of the best lines in wrestling. Yeah.
It was a great line. Albeit, I think they were kind of like, bitch, you're, you know what I mean? Like you're in the fucking.
You're fucking the champion. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Who were the WWE Tag Team Champions? There was only one. These were not split at the time in July 24th, 2013.
So, yeah. Okay. I do know this one. So if Dean was the United States champion, that means Roman and Seth were
Roman
the
and
tag
Seth.
champions.
The Shield. Yes.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I always thought was interesting. So then, New Day was like, Freebirds rule. But the Shield never did that. I felt like the Shield should have been like.
And I feel like, didn't they also later at some point after this run, the de facto tag team of the Shield became Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins because they started kind of making Roman was going to be the big dog, right?
But I thought with the three of them, you could have a round robin of the United States champion and a round robin of the fucking tag.
Well, that would be great if they were just like, we're Freebird ruling the three titles. One single, two tag teams. That's never been done before, has it? That's amazing.
No, that's what I always thought. I was like, that would be really interesting because then if you're going up against a big muscle guy, well, Roman's facing him.
Much how like Christian is like the champion, when they're like, no, but he's the right? Like when they're like both the champion. Yes, they should start doing that with like a like the Jericho Appreciation Society, right? If they had a couple different champions, all of them were the champions. Like, I don't know. I fill in. Stand in. Understudy.
Yeah. Rey Mysterio, that's going to be Seth Rollins tonight. You know what I mean? Like, hardcore match, we got Dean Ambrose doing that one.
Dalton Castle could have his boys do the stand-in, right? For him.
Perfect.
During title matches and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Local enhancement talent.
Yeah.
Dalton Castle's like, I ain't going to
Yeah, he's like wrestling them, and then like they're about to lose, and he's like, no. I'm back in now. It's me.
Yeah,
he's out. Right.
That'd be a great idea.
All right. Final thing. We're sticking with the WWE world, but lest you forgot, July 24th, 2013. Back in time. NXT existed. Tom, who was the NXT champion on July 24th, 2013? Great NXT champion. One of my favorite NXT champions ever.
Okay, so the first one is Seth Rollins. The second one is Big E. The third one is Bo Dallas. The fourth one is Neville. And then the fifth one is Sami Zayn. And then the sixth one is Kevin Owens. So where in there is 2013? Sami Zayn.
It was Bo Dallas. Dallas NXT was such an amazing, like, character and just fun experiment.
But hey, come on, give that to me. I just named the five.
No, you did. No, that's great. No, that's great. That's very great. What I liked about that Bo Dallas thing was that like the fans legitimately hated that Bo Dallas character to the point that they smartened up and said, we can't boo this guy We have to like turn around and read things. And from that, Bo Dallas took that happening and made him become one of the most beloved characters off of that, just by leaning into it, right? Just
he
being
became
like,
Kurt Angle.
Okay, right. And just fucking,
He became Kurt Angle with the 3 eyes, and everything can be done if you Bo leave. Yeah, I used to have a coffee cup of Bo leave. Remember that?
But then it became like, now we want to turn around, and now we want to like read the paper on this guy.
Get the fuck out of here. No.
So fun. So fun. All right. NXT Women's Champion on July 24th, 2013.
Son of a bitch. Him, Natalia.
This is Paige, and it's because Paige won the title at a taping that occurred on June 20th. However, that match did not air until July 24th, 2013, the very same day as the first episode of the Spanish Announce Table. We are exactly as old as NXT. Or no, as the NXT Women's Championship. Sorry, yes, NXT Women's Championship. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
There you go. Officially on record. And then the final question, then the NXT Tag Team Champions on July 24th, 2013.
Ascension.
You would think it's the Ascension, but it's not the Ascension.
Okay, hold on. Ooh, I'm going to just go on a big guess here. FTR.
Ooh, it's not FTR. It's Adrian Neville, Pac, and Corey Graves.
Yes.
Corey Graves. A little promising career that ended abruptly, yeah?
Yeah, he was going to be CM Punk except for bad.
He was going to be, he was going to be the pseudo Razor.
Stay down, stay down. I got it tattooed on my knuckles, so that's why I mean it. I'm straight edge.
For what it's worth, very good at what he does on the commentary thing, right? I think he found a great home there after that, right? For what it's worth. All right, so now let's get into some fun stuff, Tom. Not that wasn't fun, but yeah. Back in time. We're kind of taking a trip back in time here because we've got some emails, we've got some phone calls, if you will, they're audio files. We've got a video in here. We've got a tweet the table, all in response to our plea saying, hey, it's the 10-year anniversary of the Spanish Announce Table. We want to hear from the Table Nation. Do you have a favorite moment? Do you have a lingering question that you never had answered? Do you hate something about the Spanish Announce Table that you need to get off your chest? Let us know. We want to hear it. Are you ready for all this, Tom?
Yes, and then I got a question for you afterwards between us.
I was not ready for that. All right.
Yeah.
I have anxiety now. All right, let's go on and see. So, Tom, if you'll remember back in the day, the email... Josh here in the chat says, Graves annoys me sometimes, like when he was impersonating Kaiser this past Monday. I'll agree. I say he's found a good home. He's good at what he does, but he's one note Charlie, right? Like he plays the same kind of hit over and over again.
Well, he figured it out. He figured out what Vince liked. Now he does what Vince likes.
Yeah. Maybe he could be better if he was in a different setting.
He was great when he started. When he was starting and figuring it out and kind of was given the freedom to figure it out, he was doing great stuff. And then, and I'm not saying Vince, whoever the powers that maybe it was Michael Cole, right? They like, hey, we actually like it when you just do this thing. Right. Yeah. And he's like, okay, well then I'm going to double down on that. And now he's just been doing that.
Right. Yeah. Because they keep sending me these 6-figure checks right on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, listen, if you guys are hiring, I mean, like, I might, well, maybe not there. Hey, by the way, shout out Eric Young. Did you see it came out lately? They were like, why did you write? He was like, I couldn't fucking work for
Vince.
Fuck
yeah, I ain't working fucking Vince McMahon. Good.
So much that he was like, hey, listen, I know we killed me over here in Impact, but like, let's just unkill me, right? Well, and it's Impact, right? Like, fucking Sammy Callahan would appear out of nowhere and shit. Fuck out of here. All right. God.
Let's get into it.
Weird. Impact got weird. All right. So you'll remember back in the day, we used to field a lot of emails, right? A lot of emails. And one of our most faithful emailers and longest fans. Here, take a guess.
We're not getting crazy, are we? We're not starting off hot.
No, we're not starting off hard. No, I mean,
okay.
Well, this is hot stuff right here.
Well,
this is
I was thinking un-PGBL, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, geez, man, we got to warm up for something like that.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get on the on-ramp. I'm going to say Kata.
Well, yeah, we used to read Kata first. However, Kata did not send us in something here. But it's only fitting that if we're going to go to our first member of the Table Nation to speak to today, it's going to be Katie, the First Lady.
First Lady. Lady.
Katie, the First Lady. And she sent us in an email. Let me pull it up here and get ready. You ready for this one? From
Hell
Katie,
yeah.
the First Lady. She says, well, gentlemen, happy 10 years. Good Lord. You guys actually made it a full decade. Laugh out loud. What can I say? You guys certainly bring some fun, as y'all were one of the first wrestling podcasts I've ever listened to, and all because of Rob Schamberger. Wonder what he's up to these days. Anyway, thanks for all the apologies. Not that they were warranted, but I am the First Lady after all. Thanks for reading all the emails I've sent, including my message about my father's passing. That meant a lot. I apologize for not being as active as I used to be, but with the way Twitter is going lately, it may be a permanent thing. But thanks for this show as an outlet for wrestling fans such as myself to vent. Last thing, maybe one of these days I could join an episode to chat face-to-face. Thank you. Here's another 10 years later. Cheers, Katie, the First
Lady.
Love it. Katie,
of course.
First Lady.
Look, I told this to someone today when we were talking about wrestling, and I got a little just aggravated kind of with the landscape of AEW. But what I said to this person was diversity is always welcomed in every aspect of my life. And for 10 years, it's been two white guys from the Kansas City metro area talking pro wrestling. So if we get someone from the East Coast, a female perspective, of course, come on in.
Please.
Again, the thing that I've said since day one, well, since we decided that fuck that, we're not going to get it on the radio, that this podcast it's just two guys talking pro wrestling. Picture it as if it's in a bar or your favorite, hangout establishment, and you can pull up a stool and talk with us.
Pull up a chair. Right.
But we aren't kicking you out because we hate your shit. We ain't correcting you because who gives a fuck? It's a TV show. We're just having
to some
fun.
extent. You can't be a shitbag human being to others.
I'm talking about with
wrestling talk. Yes.
Yeah. If you're like, I fucking love Jeff Jarrett, I'm like, I think you're wrong, but you're allowed here. You're fine.
Definitely allowed. We may continue to argue about this topic, but you're allowed.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I can guarantee we're going to continue to talk about, continue to argue about the greatness of Jeff Jarrett even. All right. Katie, the First Lady, though, is amazing. And yes, Rob Schamberger, the artist for WWE, we've had him on here several times because he lives here in the Kansas City metro area, and he used to be a regular at least every year and would kind of run down a WrestleMania recap from his events there. And because of Rob Schamberger being friendly and helping us out at times, like would mention our show from time to time in his travels and things. And I think through a retweet or something, Katie, the First Lady, was a fan of Rob Schamberger's and found our thing and has been a loyal listener. And again, like, look, we know over 10 years, nobody's listened to every single damn episode. I don't know if Tom's listened to every episode of this podcast.
No.
Only reason I might have listened to every episode is because like I have to put the production together at the end of the day. But sometimes Tom live streams and I don't, you know what I mean? And when I'm on vacation, so maybe not. Maybe neither of us have listened to every episode all the way through of this thing. But she has been just one of the most like, it's heartwarming, right? When I hear from Katie, the First Lady, I feel like I'm like, all right, we're doing something right. If somebody who seems like this good of a person and this nice and this, you know what I mean, this fun loving and stuff like that is interested in what we have to say and is a fan of ours, that we're not doing something wrong, right? Like we're doing okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I love to read her perspective online, especially like when it comes up to pay-per-views and she gives her picks, because I like to see how close I am to what she picked. Great thing. No, yeah, go ahead and read the shit. I already saw it.
How to be a business analyst is in the chat. And by the way, if you need to know how to be a business analyst, and believe you me, you want to know how to be a business analyst. It can be quite lucrative. If you want to know how to be a business analyst, you're trying to struggle to get into that field. I know a guy. His name is How to Be a Business Analyst. Right? First name How to Be, last name Business Analyst. Check out his YouTube page. So many fun, entertaining videos and informative videos on how to be a business analyst. You won't regret it. He says, happy anniversary, guys. After all this time has passed, I need Tom to finally concede the greatness of Bret Hart. Listen, Tom only concedes the greatness of Jeff Jarrett. He doesn't concede the greatness of Bret Hart.
Look, I'm just going to say that as my
dear How to Be.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll just let you know that in recent time, since my disdain for both Jeff Jarrett and Bret Hart has came out, AEW has decided to use them the least amount they ever have. Just came out this week that Bret Hart was like, hey, I want to be an agent. And AEW said, fuck that. So I don't think he is the greatest of all time. I know one guy, his rival, runs a whole promotion called NXT, and it's doing pretty well. And the other one was told, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. Why don't you just play the music and dance when we tell you to dance? And he said no. And that is Bret Hart. Bret Hart stinks. He's a good wrestler, and that's about it. He can't cut a promo. He can't fucking do anything but the one note. You ever seen him be funny? Nope. You ever seen him fucking join
Not intentionally, at least.
Yeah. But you ever seen him join a faction that wasn't his family members that was good? Nope. NWO 2000 ring a bell?
Well, again, the reason we were interested in the Team Canada thing that they had going anyway is because of their disdain for the Shawn Michaels sophomoric antics about it. Like, it was never that Team Canada was cool or whatever they were calling themselves.
Which I tell you what, we'll get into our AEW recap, but sure seems like Bret Hart's disdain for fun has been rubbing off on FTR. Isn't that interesting?
So many things to say about them. Yeah, the fun police.
The fucking sheriff is Bret Hart.
Oh, I've got some. Yeah, remind me to talk about that FTR promo where you told him on Twitter where you said relax and drink a beer, right? Like, I've got something to talk about that where he was the whole thing about him like, I worked 10 years or whatever. Yeah, remind me when we're talking about Dynamite, talk about that, because I don't want to cloud the subject now as we're talking about 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. We've got emails, we've got calls. If you're listening to this now and you're like, man, I missed the boat. I missed when they said they were doing this where we could have sent something in. You shouldn't have missed it. We said it for like 8 fucking weeks. But hey, if you missed it, feel free to send something in. We'll celebrate ourselves next week. We'll celebrate ourselves the week after that. I don't give a yeah, please. If you want to do what the fine folks have done here tonight, feel free to do it.
12 and a half years in, we'll celebrate our 10-year anniversary if you want to send something
10
in.
10 year in a week. Let's crack some beers and let's go. So, all right, we've got a call this time. We've got a call from a guy across the pond. Over the years, we've had listeners from around the world, right? We've had Australian listeners. We've had folks from New Zealand. We've had folks from England. We've had folks from Germany. We've had folks from Japan. We've had folks from who knows where, right? Not everybody tells us where they're from. This one is from a listener who's been around from a long time. It goes by the name of Kiwi Tucks. You remember Kiwi Tucks?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Kiwi Tucks. So let's play Kiwi's call.
Hello, Tom and Tim. It's Kieran, yes, or aka Kiwi Tucks, calling in from the south of the United Kingdom. I want to wish you both a very big congratulations and well done on your 10th anniversary. It's lovely to be here on this very special show, but I also want to say a big thank you to you and all of the contributors to this amazing podcast. I've lapsed a little bit for being a pro wrestling fan. I've gone off WWE, gone with New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, and then gone back to it, and then come back, and yeah, it's all a bit hickledy-pickledy, as we say here in Britain, and in Ireland probably too. However, I just wanted to say thank you so much to the both of you, to the bottom of my heart, for everything that you have done. I'm loving your content, particularly on TikTok at the moment. I've really got into that. So yeah, you can check me out at Kieran UT. So it's CIARANUT. So quite a plug there. And also I'm on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. We don't really know, do we? So take care. This is the Goodwill Ambassador Kiwi Tuts, or Kieran. I hope you are well. And guys, just keep on doing what you're doing, because it's awesome.
Isn't that fun?
That just warms my heart.
I know.
It's great.
He's one of the folks who, again, this podcast, I was into wrestling podcasting before Tom and I met. Mm-hmm. And we met at a radio station while I was doing the production work, running the boards for Fight Show Live, an MMA radio show that Tom was a co-host of. And he brought up, we brought up wrestling fandom, and we thought we should do a podcast, and it kind of went out of there. So a lot of those folks that listened to that other podcast where I was a contributor to came over. So he's been one of the longtime listeners.
Good
And
production
then-
on that call.
Very good production on that call. And then also, we have just remained over the years. Like that other podcast had hundreds of regular contributors, but he's one of the few that I think have remained contact and friends-ish, if you will, for 10 years now.
Yeah, look, and I don't mean to offend you or Kiwi or anyone who's from that podcast over to here. I hated it. I thought it sucked, but that's just my opinion. But we are actually friends on, I believe, Facebook and Instagram. So I see all of his stuff.
He's
the
super
bus
awesome
driver
guy.
and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Awesome
Great
person.
I love him a lot, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and we thank you for that call, and it was really fun. And this ride, that's one of the things that I think we like about this most is those connections, and that's why we keep imploring you, right? Get in the chats, talk to us like How to Be. Our friend How to Be, a business analyst here, says, "Yo, as long as Tom realizes the greatness of Pat Stay, which he does, we all good."
R.I.P. Pat Stay.
R.I.P. Pat Stay. All right, so let's get into the next audio call. And this audio call is coming from a man whose beard is so fluffy that people mistake it for clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a secret handshake with strangers.
He does have a secret handshake. I've seen it. And I asked him if I could see the secret handshake, and he said, "We've got some work to do, but you'll get there," right? He filled me with hope. And it is Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker, and we're going to play his call right now. You ready, Tom? I'm excited. Are you guarding yourself? Because
yes, I've built a wall around my heart to see what we're going to get here. Okay.
Around the heart?
He threatened me.
I don't know if the heart is what you need to build a wall around.
Because he threatened me one time. Okay.
It's great that he threatened you, because this comes up later, even after Big Josh. And I'd kind of forgotten that Big Josh threatened you, but you've received threats over the years from many folks. So this is fun.
Yeah.
Here we go. I love how you're like, yeah, duh. Podcast, real life, fucking, when I hang up here today,
yeah, of course.
Piss the mailman off today, I fucking spit on him. All right, here we go.
What is up, you guys? Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker here. Can't believe it's been 10 years since you and T-Mac started this show. A lot of memories, a lot of great shows, some shows better than others, but it's been a wild ride. Wild ride. A lot of good memories, And don't think I've forgotten, T-Mac. I owe you a truck up the ass. It's coming one of these days. And now that I'm staying in the Kansas City area, it's a hell of a lot closer than it used to be.
Plotting.
Here's to another 10 years, you guys. I hope to be here for the entire ride. And this has been Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker, and I am out of here.
I love how he's just like, up your ass, right? Like it's coming. I like the Nick Gage delivery of the Big Josh promo, right?
That was
slow,
great.
it's measured.
Which
It's got,
note,
but he's like got a point. Like, I'm coming for you.
yes, and side note, I will say this: besides him having a perfectly shaped head, he also does really good TikToks. He does like the mouthing and stuff with like audio over it, and it's like sped up and stuff. That's good editing. He's really good on TikTok.
No, yes, definitely TikTok. You should follow Big Josh. I think it's at the Rebel Trucker. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to join in on the chat here. Big Josh, just tweet us if you need to correct us. But Big Josh, again, one of these folks from the other podcast that has been probably here since day one. If they didn't listen to the first,
I didn't realize he came from there. Okay. Man,
so a lot of our early listener base did, and so that's why we like to give it some reverence, because that's what kind of got us a kickstart in the pro wrestling community. Yeah, so
many good people coming from such a bad show. That is incredible.
How to Be a Business Analyst says that call from Kiwi Tucks made me think. Do you guys have any favorite ring entrance songs over the years?
Well, are we saying original or just ring entrances?
I just think ring entrances. I mean, I liked before they changed Orange Cassidy's when he had the Pixies that he had?
The Pixies, yep.
The Jungle Boy Jungle Life. So fun, and I'm a little upset it's gone, right? Albeit I like this Jungle Boy character turn, but man, that was always so fun. As far as ring entrance songs, other than that, I mean...
Well, because this is what I was going to say. To clarify, just to make sure I'm on point here, I was thinking, because as I said on the almost half-year awards, when the Guns came out to Mini Men, I thought that was the best entrance so far of the year. So that was one that popped in my head. But that's a 50 Cent song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't think How to Be a Business Analyst has seen that. I forget what match that was, what event that was. I may have to send it to him. It was against FTR. Dynamite. Yeah. Yeah, search for that. AEW Dynamite, FTR versus the Guns. They call themselves the Guns or the Gun Club? I forget.
The Guns.
The Guns.
The Guns.
Their entrance. Yeah, with 50 Cent's Mini Men.
Mm-hmm. But now,
it was fire. That was hot stuff. I was like, man, you guys should do that every time.
Yeah. Well, I think they're wanting to do it for the England show, so we'll see if that happens. But all time, if we're going with original concepts, Nakamura is a great one. I still love Nakamura's.
Very true.
Going a little bit further back, I always loved Stone Cold Steve Austin's. Going a little bit farther back than that, here's a fun one. I love the Steiner brothers from WCW. Steiner.
How about over the years, right? Well, let's stick to the years of the Spanish announce table. How about Rusev on a fucking tank?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the fucking shit. Yeah, that was Bootios. Speaking of Bootios, when fucking New Day came out of the cereal.
Yes.
That was fucking awesome, too.
That was a cool, yes. Yeah, they came out of a big cereal box.
That was fucking awesome.
That is good stuff. Brian J in the chat says, what's going on, my friends? While I haven't been here since the beginning, I have been here a few years. Congratulations on 10 years. And Brian J, I can't tell you how perfect your timing is, because next up in our list of contributions from the Table Nation is an email from Brian J. Bay. And he says, I feel like a relative newcomer to the podcast. I do a lot of... Oh, hold on. I forgot. I got to put up... There's Brian J. With Nick Gage giving everybody the bird, right? Found a fun picture of that online. Brian J. says, I feel like a relative newcomer to the podcast. I do a lot of driving for a living, so podcasts are a lifesaver. I started with the basics, like Jericho and a couple of others 4 years ago. They never really held my attention. I stumbled across the Spanish Announce Table on Twitter, instantly followed you, and got into the podcast. And I've enjoyed the show every week. The breakdowns are fun, and T-Mac going off is hilarious. But I agree with most of what he says. The show resonates with me. When DWF made their announcement, Dynamic Wrestling Federation, I reached out to Strider immediately, and he brought me in to help. Then I heard the episode with Trinity and Simon. I was stoked because they are great wrestling guys who became good friends, especially Trinity. Side note, Trinity is an awesome dude.
Oh, yeah.
When it changed hands to Strider and Joe and became CSW, I hit one of my life goals. I am now part of a company that I watched in person with my dad when I was 3 years old. Not only is the Spanish Announce Table entertaining and fun, it also helps dreams come true. Thank you for what you do. Your friend, Brian J. Bay. And man, I don't even know what to say.
Well, here's what I'll say. Couple things. First off, now that you are with Central States Wrestling, but you are still a relative newcomer to the Spanish Announce Table, check out our archives. Our very first guest ever was Michael Strider. And then a couple weeks after that, we had Joe McDonald. So if you want to get to know some of their backstory, go to the archives. I'm saying go way like 10s, 11s. It was way back.
We did make a goof with that interview, remember? Because Michael Strider had recently retired.
Oh, dude. This is one of the worst things. And Brian, if you don't know this, you're going to hear his government name, because the way here's a fun backstory.
And maybe don't share the full government name now these days, right?
No,
but you can go back and see it, right? Yeah.
Well, but because the way I got introduced to Strider was at the time when he was out of pro wrestling, he worked for Title Boxing, and Title Boxing was a sponsor of the Fight Show Live. And so kind of small world here. And then when Tim and I started to do our podcast, he got back into pro wrestling, but I didn't know what the fuck to call him because I didn't know if he was all in or just kind of doing a one-off. So
he was at the time a retired Kansas City wrestling legend.
Yeah.
And so we were using his name.
Yeah, because I was like, well, let's talk about the character. But yeah,
Right.
he was so fucked up a little bit. But
Well,
go
the
back
thing is
to
that he never told us in the moment because
Yeah,
he's a
no,
swell
no.
guy. He doesn't
very
want to. He doesn't want to cause a problem. He doesn't want to cause a fight. But we called him all day long. We're like,
Yeah.
Justin. We can say Justin. We're like Justin this, Justin that. We've got Justin here tonight. Justin, Justin. And then you tell me like several weeks later, he's like, by the way,
yeah,
had a blast. But
And I was like, dude, you should have said something. Yeah. But anyhow, Brian, I would say check out those early podcasts if you ever have time again while you're driving around.
yeah,
And second, not to just be saying, hey, thanks for everyone come in and then go to somewhere else. But he also, Brian, co-hosts on the I-70 podcast.
hot
That's-
tag, the I-70 hot tag. Yeah.
The I-70 Hot Tag podcast, which sponsors Central States Wrestling. So check him out when he's doing
Yeah.
the podcast there.
And also about Michael Strider. So Michael Strider, again, you knew him through this thing. So,
Fight Show Live.
you're right, through the Fight Show Live and through the MMA work that you've done. And you brought him onto our show. You're like, hey, I got our first interview. And that was awesome. And he was so cool. And I would have thought that might be, like the last I ever interacted with Michael Strider. Now we've seen him at wrestling shows. We've done various things on the show, but Michael Strider, I've ran into this guy in public so many times where he will stop what he's doing and we will have long form conversations. Like I'm talking to an old friend and he's super awesome guy. And Brian J. Bay has been that super awesome guy to me. And I feel like we haven't yet met in person that I'm aware of. And I'm upset about that. I can't make these Central States wrestling shows because it feels like undoubtedly every time they book one, it's something that is also going on with my family life. Right. And I'm like, I can't ever make it to a show,
But if you're in the Kansas City area, the Saturday is the next one.
Yeah, where I will be at a wedding. So I can, son of a shirt.
It's an hour-long match between Dak Draper and Jeremy
Yes.
Wyatt, who also
Yes.
we got introduced through Michael Strider.
Yes, and also I think at that show they will be having the Nicholas Mayo Memorial match, which is shout out friend of the show, Money Mayo. So you should check that out and support that as well.
Yeah.
Because he's a swell dude and been a friend to us. So
Great guy.
So okay, I think let's move on to the next person. Yeah, you ready for this one?
Let's do it.
This is another one who began listening to us because of the WIR, the other podcast. Lives overseas
Man.
over there in the England. But
You
him and I
guys.
used to have a beef, and we would measure who had more Twitter followers at the time, right? Because we had joined like at near the exact same date. We both contributed to this podcast. We both like debuted around the same date. So it became this kind of like war of like who was more popular, right? Friendly war, right? We would do it. To one point, he brought up and asked, why is my mom following you on Twitter? I had to go, I don't know. I didn't ask her. I was like, oh, no, I did follow her. Yeah, that's right. Because my point was, I'm going to go to everybody that follows him, and I'm just going to follow them. And half of these people are going to follow me back because that's what people do, right? So he says, what the hell? All right, Brian J. in the chat says, probably going to go be on my new podcast launching on August 6th with Patriot Pat. Tom can come. He knows I'll hook him up, right? If you go to the wrestling show.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. All right. Let's get into this next one from Ash Hendricks. We used to call him A.H. Walker very early back in the days, but we got a call from Ash Hendricks. And are you ready for this? This is fun stuff.
Yeah. I don't think
All
I've
right.
ever heard him before.
Okay.
Gentlemen, my name is Ash. As you already know, I just want to send a big old congratulations to you guys for the 10-year anniversary. It's kind of crazy. Like, I listened to the first one all those years ago. 10 years ago, to be exact, actually, if you wanted to count. And it's just crazy. I've obviously missed a few in the middle there, but it's crazy that we actually reached 10 years. Like, when I first started listening to this show, I was in my 20s. And now I'm a 30-year-old man, which is kind of crazy. Especially Tim's known me since I was like 17 or some shit like that. I don't know. But that's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to just say, like, my favorite thing about the show was definitely the Scott Steiner clips. It was always the fat asses one or take your clothes off, I'm working off. That shit was jokes as fuck. Dude, anytime they would come on, I would be creasing, and the fact that you guys don't do it anymore is kind of racist, so I'm just going to throw that out there. Anyway, Personally, as well, another thing for me that I really enjoyed about the show is like my favorite thing with podcasts when it's just two people just like bullshitting and just chatting shit, and that was what you guys were doing. Was you guys were you chat a lot of shit, both of you, especially you, Tim, you motherfucker. You know what I mean? So like whenever, so it was always a pleasure to listen to. It's not like these little radio shows that you have where it's like a guest has to be all corporate and nothing. It was just two guys just kicking back. It's like if there wasn't a recorder here and all this and a big radio station in between you guys, it's like a conversation that you guys would probably have, I imagine. You know what I mean? I'm speculating. Anyways, congratulations. And my talking point for the week then, in regards to modern day wrestling, I want to know from you guys, who is your favorite wrestler or wrestlers of the last 10 years and why? Thank you.
Guys, so fun. How is the Scott Steiner thing racist? I need a further explanation that we're not playing Steiner clips.
I'm gonna have to listen back because he had a fucking cool phrase in there that I want to steal, where he said "jokes as fuck" or something.
Yeah, it was jokes as fuck. Yeah, is that like a British
I
phrase?
Love it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
The Scott Steiner clips held a very special place in this show, and at some point, it just felt like we were doing it to death. So we kind of stopped doing it. I have felt since we've brought back in the video clips where I can like throw in and say, "I am the real victim here," or
I don't expect anything less from a bunch of neckbeard stinky twats.
So maybe I could throw some Steiner stuff back in there with the video clips like we do on the live stream.
Yeah, because peeking behind the curtain, when we left the radio station, we were going on was Skype, and so we didn't even know like that wasn't a thing. So now that we have more technology catching up to what we used to do, I could see that.
Yeah, we did get kicked out of the Evil Corporation, kicked us out of the studio, i.e. the radio station I worked at said, "Hey, you guys can't fucking work here. You can't do your podcast here anymore."
But do you know when that was? On our 3-year anniversary show.
Oh, it was the 3-year anniversary show. That's right, because we had the Regal Twins and Sharkbait in there drinking beers, and the brand new GM who had been there like 2 weeks comes in. He's there at 9 p.m. at night. We're like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? It's a ghost town there normally. The cleaning crew's there. John Cena, the cleaning guy, would be there, and nobody else because you couldn't see him. Right? So, like, they were there, and he shows up, and he's like, what the fuck's going on here, guys? And we're like, oh, hey, we're doing the show, which the previous management all knew of and were aware of and were fine. But he looks around, sees a bunch of beers open. He recognizes one of the guys from the gym or something, so he tries to have a conversation. But we get a quick email later, like, hey, you need to come in and talk to me, and we can no longer do personal projects at the studios. And I said, well, that's the only reason I took your $9-something an hour job, dipshit. Like, I needed the radio access. And so we were out of there. So, yeah, the Steiner Clips ended there because it took us a while to figure out how to do the show remotely. Like you see today, Josh Smith says, how about the Maddox? The Maddox. Oh.
You fucking love that guy so much.
I just wanted the Maddox character.
That's our white elephant. That's our white whale. That's our white whale as far as guests. If we get him on the show, we've accomplished something.
The Maddox. I don't give a fuck about Brad Maddox. I just wanted Brad the Maddox. I just wanted that character. I can't even. All right. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's move on to who the next person is. Let me find out where we were here. Oh, so we were talking to Ash Hendricks. He gave us all those fun memories. And he, today, after I loaded everything up, I've done everything. I've got the show all prepared, ready to go. I get an email from Ash saying, hey, I sent another one. And he goes, I've definitely been drinking. I was like, okay, I got to get this. So are you ready for call number 2, Tom?
Well, do you want to answer his first question?
Oh, his first question, right. Yeah, that's right. My answer to that is an easy one. My favorite wrestler of the last 10 years, you might call this recency bias, it's MJF. I feel like he hits everything fucking out of 10 and just, to me, measured up to anybody else I've seen over the last 10 years is still my favorite.
I would say if you were to take the entire lifespan of the podcast, my overall for like longevity and the moments would be Daniel Bryan / Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because that was WrestleMania 30, then the retirement, then coming back, all the AEW stuff, all that. But there's only one right answer. And MJF is a great answer, but it's wrong. The one right answer
Bret Hart.
is God damn it. He wasn't around during this podcast.
Ah,
The one right
Jeff
answer.
Jarrett.
God damn it, he wasn't around either.
Well, I mean, he
The-
was.
I know. The one right answer is Eddie fucking Kingston. That is the best ever. He was even doing great stuff in Chicago and then Evolve. That's where, honestly, when I got exposed to him is when he was lending a helping hand to friend of the show Sharkbait when they were both in Evolve. And then it just took off from there. And so, yeah. Eddie Kingston. Fucking the man for me.
Katie, the first lady in the chat here, asks us favorite interviews, and I'm going to assume she means favorite interviews that we've done. And I'm bad at lists, right? So Tom is generally the guy who can give you like, here's my first and second, third, and fourth. I being the good bullshit artist I can like hash out any details and make anything number one. So I never can make a list in my own head, right? So I will tell you some of my favorite interviews over the years that stick out immediately when you ask that question. Dolph Ziggler, because we strong-armed this interview and bumped an actual radio station. and that might have been some of the fallout as to why we weren't allowed either. Who knows? That one sticks out. The Big E one sticks out because that guy gave us all the time in the world because nobody else was at this Ice Storm car dealership meet and greet.
Mm-hmm.
Meet and greet at a car dealership during an ice storm. Like, we had to drive 20 miles an hour to get there.
On top of it was Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, yes. So here we are with my 8-year-old, I think, child, my boy, and his friend who they know of wrestling because dad watched it, but they don't give a shit. But I just had to like be in charge of them that day. But now we roll up with a little DAT recorder and we're just like, hey, you ain't got shit else going on, right, Big E?
Right,
and he gave us a fun interview. If you haven't listened, go back and look for that one. That one sticks out. The Shield interview where we interviewed Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, just because their responses were so in the moment great and just eye rolling about the idea that Tom could wrestle them in a match.
Which, finding out some details about the true people, motherfuckers, I think I can take it.
So yeah, those stick out. And then of course the ones that also stick out are our local guys. The Dak Draper interviews, your Michael Striders, your Jeremy Wyatts, the Rob Schamberger interviews from the early days. Like, those always stick out in my mind near dear because, again, those are tangible things. Like, those are relationships we've made, and I value those a lot.
Yeah, I would say the coolest one for me, like the fucking one where I almost wanted to pat myself on the back, was the same week that Bobby Lashley made his surprise debut in TNA Impact. We got a
surprise interview on.
Yeah. I called him up. He answered. He remembered who I was because it wasn't that long ago since I had worked with him. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And so honestly, we were the first interview for Bobby Lashley making his Impact debut. And this was still when Impact was on Spike TV. This isn't like Impact today where it's like, who the fuck's over there? But that was one of my favorites. Jeremy Wyatt was a great local one because he came on multiple times, and it wasn't necessarily an interview that we did with him, but do you recall when we were doing the WrestleMania preview and he was the wrestler that we had and we previewed WrestleMania 30 and we're like Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. And I still remember it so distinctly. We were all like, yeah, Undertaker. Yeah. That moment sticks out to me as far as an interview.
One of my, if I can pause you before that, one of my favorite Jeremy Wyatt moments was we were at Up Down in Kansas City when they were doing the NWL. They were doing one of their Nintendo 64 tournaments. And I'm just grabbing interviews, right? We're doing this like, hey, we're going to put together a compilation. Like, hey, we grabbed a bunch of interviews from wrestlers at NWL's, Nintendo 64 tournament at Up Down. And so let's get you guys in character, right? So they're giving us in-character audio interviews. And Jeremy Wyatt is berating, like acting better than us, and everything, and interviewing and everything. And I just asked him for a quick, quick little interview. And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, thanks. And he was like, all right, Now about that $20. And he just like reaches his hand out. And I was like, Tom's got you at the door. He'll get you over there. And I just fucking give him a slap on the arm and just leave him hanging. I was like, fuck that.
Well, remember when I kicked his ass in the Nintendo 64 tournament?
Yes. Remember, because this thing wasn't plugged in, right?
I don't know. Hey, that's what he says.
Yes.
But Striker was in my ear yelling the entire time. Yeah. But what I was going to finish up with, my favorite like famous person interview, like people who would know, was the Mick Foley interview after his one-man show. And the reason was not even because of the interview, is because we got to him, we asked, he said yes. And then there was a playoff game between Golden State and Houston. And he's like, hey, can I watch the end of this game before we do the interview? And we're like, of course. So we're just all watching a basketball game together, like making commentary of like, good shot by Steph. Oh, I can't believe Harden.
Yeah, we got to watch the end of a basketball game, playoffs with Mick Foley for free.
And then he came on, or then he's like, okay, so what's the interview? I was like, hey, so it's 5 questions. He goes, let's make it 3. We're like, sure, whatever. We'll ask you one if you
3,
need.
fine.
So,
yeah. He was like, guys, fucking 3's what I got. Justin Forrest says, happy anniversary. Remember when you finagled an interview with Sheamus? And it was Dolph that we finagled the interview with.
Yes.
We were at the radio station. We stood in the hallway as he was getting walked around Radio Row, and we were like, hey, right here in this studio, we have the Spanish Announce Table, a pro wrestling show right here in this radio studio, right? Not telling him this doesn't air on the radio. And they were like, oh, that's amazing. Pro wrestling? We were like, yeah, like, let's go.
And that was actually, I don't know if Katie was asking this, but Cinco Preguntas, he actually gave the best answer of everyone.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Question number 5, when I was Iron Sheik's cousin, because I had fucking a unibrow, apparently.
Yeah, he's number 1. Number 2 is the Shield. Their combined responses in my mind. Yeah. And Josh Smith is not even going to mention the Iceman. We have to mention the Iceman. His shopping cart discussions, road stories that we did with Iceman. So when I tried to figure this out, like who's been the guest that's been on the most times, I didn't go and count. But it has to be either Iceman, Rob Schamberger, or Jeremy Wyatt, right? It's one of those 3. Mm-hmm. And man, I don't know. It might be the Iceman. Now, the Iceman is probably the most... Out of all the wrestlers, he's the one who's most contributed the most to the show, bar none, period, right? Because he always did the tweet the tables. He's done all the things. Dude, Iceman is such an awesome guy. Yeah,
he is the most welcoming person I've met at live events. MMA, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, pro wrestling. He is legitimately the most welcoming person to where...
Honestly, yeah, go ahead.
Just warm, inviting, kind, caring... considerate, like he's really such a great person.
So I remember this very vividly. So we went to Metro Pro, I think for the first time, like together, you and I were like, let's go check out this Metro Pro. It's nearby. You had been to some shows. You were like, no, it's a fun time. Let's go. And we went, and this is the shopping cart incident. Iceman is in a match against Pete Madden, and it's no holds barred or something, right? Or a no disqualification. And for some reason, there's a shopping cart in the ring, and Pete Madden is in the tree of woe in the corner, and Iceman picks up a shopping cart, upside down, and just launches that thing lawn dart style right into the man's face while he's wearing a GoPro on his head. So we've got all this footage. And that night, we're all like, this is amazing. And we had already interviewed Rob Schamberger at this time, and he was like, hey, you guys interested in some wrestler interviews? And we were like, yes, we are. And he was like, this guy right here is your man. Like, he's literally standing right next to him, and he's like, this is the Iceman. And we were like, oh, we saw the Iceman, right? And he was so welcoming, like you said, from that moment on. And he gave us his contact info and has been on the show, come in the studio with us several times, drank beers with us. I've seen him out at Worlds of Fun, and he stopped and had conversations with me and pissed off both of our wives that we were taking so long. He is an awesome guy. Love the Iceman. All right, let's get back into the submissions. Because remember, Ash Hendricks said, hey, I've been drinking. I've got to follow up.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. It's me again, boys. I want you to sack off that last question because that last question was ass. But I got a better question for you. We're sticking on the 10 years theme, but I was thinking about it, right? Will MJF still be a professional wrestler 10 years from now? And if your answer is yes, will he still be plying his trade in AEW, or will he be wrestling elsewhere? Okay, cool. Have a good one. Happy 10 years. T-Mac, I ain't forgot about you. like about 6-7 years ago, you said you and me were going to do a rap battle. You know what I mean? You and me 3 rounds, 90 seconds. You know what I mean? Maybe a 4th round freestyle or something like that. But no, you've been ducking me for about 6 years now, and I ain't forgotten about you. So if I ever see you, I've got a fucking Dustin Poirier right overhand hook, like he's going to land on Justin Gaethje this weekend. Okay? Happy 10 years. Fuck off.
My answer to his question is I think MJF will be wrestling, but in the kind of like a part-timer thing, because I think he'll also be like a B-list actor kind of a thing.
The acting thing, I don't think is going to take off like.
Well, that's why I said B-list, right? That's
well,
why I was like,
but
you know.
I think it'll. Again, I don't want it to always
or
give the
something,
analogy.
right? Some sort of entertainment thing where he's not like he doesn't wrestle all the time, but we'll see him. Is how I feel basically.
I don't. I know he's doing the movie with the about the Von Erichs for A24 that comes out on Christmas Day and all that stuff. I really think, and I don't mean to compare him to the person it feels like he always gets compared to, but I think as far as his movie career goes, it's probably going to be more like The Miz.
Yeah.
But I 1,000,000% think he's going to
you can make a living doing that, right?
Oh, I know, but you know what I'm saying. But I 1,000,000% think he's going to be wrestling. I think 1,000,000% he's going to be in AEW.
Full time.
I would not
you
be
think
shocked.
full time in 10 years? So that means you think AEW exists in 10 years.
Yeah,
and
yes.
He's wrestling there in 10 years. Okay.
I think, you want to hear a hot take? I think he's taking, this is just me. I have no information, just a gut feeling. I believe him being such a pro wrestling fan and pro wrestling astute observer, I think he's going to take the Triple H route. I think we're going to start to see, it's MJF as like a lead producer backstage. And yeah, he ain't on this show this week, but he booked the match with Darby Allin's kid.
MJF has been promoted to chief operating officer of it. Right.
Tony Khan is going to take full-time ownership of the Jacksonville Jags. And so someone needs to take over AEW and it's going to be MJF. That's where I keep thinking.
Mark this episode now for anybody. If we are still existing in 10 years, which I mean, nothing now would indicate that we wouldn't be. Now I understand 10 years happens, right? So who knows?
Well,
right?
Yeah, this fucking tumor. We'll see how that goes. But
man, I've got kids and shit, so I might have a heart attack at some point. You know?
We should do a side note after this is done about all the health scares I've fucking had during this show. But also Ash, shout out Dustin Poirier. Yes, 1,000,000% DP, big left hand. Can't wait.
And Tom, are the rumors true? Are you ducking?
Hey, I'm
Ash?
retired. We know that I'm retired. I announced it. I said I was going to do it. Ash, hey, I love you, buddy, but you never came to me.
But just like Shawn Michaels, the integrity of the term retirement, and indeed the concept, the philosophy of retirement, rests on Tom staying retired. A retirement isn't a retirement if you don't stay retired.
Ash, I'll give you a great analogy. Look, I'm Randy Couture and you're Fedor. You never made it to the big show, pal. And so I had to retire because I couldn't wait all the time.
It's also one of those things where, like, look, we want to know, like, could LeBron beat MJ? But like, they just existed in different times, right? Like, So even if you came back now, like, it's not how it should have been, right?
Yeah, it's not.
Let's not ruin what could have been and let people have their conversations. We'll remove the debate. You want to remove the debate?
No,
I mean, there was no debate. Everybody knows Tom was the supreme grand champion battle rapper of the world, but you would have had a puncher's chance. You could have had a line. You could have had a line that made everybody think you won.
Yeah. And by the way, how to be a business analyst. I don't know if you know that about the history of the show. I was a battle rapper. Pretty great.
He's a retired battle rapper. Tommy Tsunami, 2 Abs, T-Mac.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just fly.
Tommy
All right, let's get back
salad.
into it. Yeah.
All right, let's get back into it. And this time we've got a tweet the table from one of our newer listeners of the show, but a good friend to Tom and Tim here, right? But more so to Tom, more daily interaction with Tom. It's a tweet the table from Justin Floor. He says, congrats at Table Show on your 10-year anniversary. This past year has made wrestling more entertaining by listening to your podcast. Cheers to many more years of the show and listening to Tom admire his favorite wrestler. JEFF JARRETT # tweet the table.
I don't even want to say anything because how about this, Justin Floor? Ask me for help later this week and see what happens, huh? See what happens, huh?
Yeah, I'm checking out early Friday, bitch.
Yeah, go call Jeff Jarrett for that help, huh? You like him so much? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, it's been great to hear from him.
Justin Floor, can I say this? You pointed this out to me, and I hadn't recognized it from the last few times we've gone to an event. You know, he lives in the area. He's also at the event with his children. He dresses as Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, it's so
events.
cool. Yeah. It's great. I love it. He does such a great job. Gets his kids involved and like in a genuine way, not like a come with me, this is my thing. Like they genuinely have a good shared experience with that. Great dude. Yeah. Overall, awesome guy. So happy I got to meet him. And I'm so happy he's a part of this Table Nation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll keep moving on from some of our longtime listeners submitting in emails, calls, video chats. We've got a call from a guy. Lives a state over. Lives over there in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. This is Mr. Fourth Row.
It's a go for a audio submission from yours truly, Mr. Fourth Row. Hey, Spanish Announce Table, congratulations on 10 years of podcasting. I think I've been a listener since day one-ish. Anyways, let's first of all go back and turn back the clock and go back in time. And one of my favorite submissions that I've ever submitted to the podcast, and here it is.
All right, Mr. Fourth Row says hello. Once again, it's Mr. Fourth Row with an email that hopefully will be a lot of fun for this Christmas season.
Oh, let's see.
All right, so if you had two wishes, one serious and one for total fun, that you would like granted for this holiday season, what would they be? Well, we gave you some serious ones. We'll come up with some fun ones. Right?
Oh, I can do fun and serious.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, for me, they would be for the serious, for TNA to become more stable and finally drop the TNA name and just be known as Impact Wrestling. For the fun wish, that is for Donald Trump to wear a WWE Championship belt at his inauguration. After all, he is a Hall of Famer, and WWE does send championship belts to sports teams when they win. Wishing you. That would be fun. That would really be fun. Wishing you a very best of this holiday season. Once again, that's my view, not from the cheap seats, not from the most expensive seats, but from the fourth row. Mr. Fourth Row. That would be so fun. If he like just undoes, if he's like, I know many people, didn't vote for me, but who's the champ? And just like rips open his suit and he's got, I want it to be the spinner belt too. I want him to spin it.
I can picture this. So he puts his hand on the Bible and he gives his oath to the office, right? And as soon as he does that, he turns to the crowd, unbuttons his jacket to unveil the WWE Championship.
Yes.
And he goes, I am not only your president, I am your champion. That would be the best.
And then he does the suck it.
He looks at the Clintons and he looks at the Obamas and does the suck it.
Yeah. I think that's what he did. But, yeah. Okay, what's your serious and your fun wish?
Hold on, give me a second. Okay. Ooh, that's fun. Woo. Okay.
I'll tell you a serious wish I got.
Oh, yeah, you go first.
I want to see Baron Corbin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him win, I'll say a major title then, sometime in this year, right? Like I'm talking a world title, like, either a world or universal, whatever it happens to be. But I'd like to see him get a run with it because I think his character's got some potential in that it's that lone wolf. It's the legitimate. It's believable. Like I believe when I watch him that like he didn't like anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He didn't like you when you guys met.
No, he was very nice.
I forgot about that.
That's what he told me.
Yeah. Now, I did bump into him one time, and he didn't look happy because he looked like he had just bought his girl a shit ton of stuff that he didn't want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
She had like 4 bags of shit in the mall.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The time I talked to him, he said he hated you.
Oh, well, that's possible. Most people do.
Oh, not most.
Yeah,
Some.
sure.
Not most.
I could find you a plenty if we had to.
All right, my serious one would be that there is a feud that lasts one whole year that is captivating from start to finish.
Okay.
The closest I think we've gotten
Bloodline.
is Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins immediately after the Shield broke up.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. You know what my fun wish is? And I've said this a lot. I want a hot tag to fail. I want a goddamn tag team match. I want this like at WrestleMania. I want tag team titles on the line. I want somebody getting their ass beat. I want the face getting their ass beat, right? Just beat down. The face tag team partners slapping the ring post, getting the crowd hyped up, and they finally reach all the way over there after like 20 tries of getting short-ended, and they make that hot tag, and he jumps in and the crowd goes wild, and he gets fucking clothesline out of his goddamn mind, and they lose the match. I want a hot tag to fail.
You almost had that with TJ Perkins running in to save Rich Swann and then getting kicked right in his head.
But yes, but like, you know what I mean? I want all the hype. I want all the hype that accompanies that, and then, over. I want that stunned Undertaker loses response from a hot tag.
My fun one is I want a opening match guy to win the Royal Rumble. I just want to know what that looks like.
Okay.
You know, like when Santino we thought won and then Del Rio came back and eliminated him.
Yes.
And I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now, but
Ellsworth.
Calm down. But I want.
Oh, you knew something we didn't.
Who would be a good guy? Let me try to think. I want Apollo Crews.
Yeah, right. Yeah, one of those, not even opening match, second match, right? Like, because opening match is generally, like a decent match. Huh.
Okay, here. My fun one is I want Fandango to win the Royal Rumble.
Yes, there you go.
Because then this will be back.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so that was Mr. Fourth Row. We like that.
So to remind you there, that was a submission I did back in December of 2016 when the world was so much different and such a crazy year 2016 was. For me personally, the Denver Broncos had just won the Super Bowl. It was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, which I'm a big Star Trek fan. I got to go to WrestleMania that year. And of course, the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. And I made this great submission of the craziness of we elected Donald Trump to president of the United States. But anyways, you guys also wanted a submission for something to talk about. So I'm going to give you something to talk about. So in the wacky world of professional wrestling, I work for Rocky Mountain Pro. I'm the merch coordinator and also do the podcast of RMP Radio, cheap plug. And so we have so much wrestling to consume that is available to consume, whether it's on cable, satellite TV, online streaming, YouTube, and the such. You guys have made a pivot to pretty much focus when it comes to the national brand to AEW and AEW Dynamite and all the shows that AEW does put out there. But do you think there's still a focus to maybe go and watch the local promotions that are in your area, such as the RMP for you guys, Central States Wrestling, CSW, and the such? So, and do you think people can really fit that in their world and continue to have a life and then also have this enjoyment? So, what say you, Captain Awesome and T-Mac, and then of course the rest of the podcast listeners? Love to hear it. Congratulations on the 10 years, and I'll be listening continuously.
I love that I have been clamoring since at least 2016 for the failed hot tag. Now,
which you kind of got though. You got it in AEW. Remember, I sent that to you. Yes. It wasn't on a big show, so I think it was Rampage. Yeah. But yeah, no, it happened kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea that I'm after, right? Like I want them building up the crowd. I want them slapping. I want everybody clapping. We get that tag. Everybody goes crazy. They hop in and just get immediately JBL fucking lariated out of their boots. And yes, what a wacky time.
Yeah, we were happy about that whole inauguration. Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah. I remember sitting in the studio very clearly. This was not on the show, but it was before we were recording. And you going, dude, he's not going to win.
No. I didn't even think he would be the nominee. Yeah. Remember, I was like, he's going to run as a third party.
I was like, I don't know, man. This one feels weird. I kept saying it from the jump. I was like, this one feels really weird. Like, this one feels different.
Yeah, this coming from the guy who also said, you fire the fat guy, not the athlete, when talking about when Andy Reid traded Alex Smith to start Patrick Mahomes. So I'm really fucking winning with the predicting the future.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, the Denver Broncos did just win the Super Bowl in 2016. And since then, boy, woo, a lot of success for you guys, right?
Well, here's a fun fact about the Denver Broncos. They have more Super Bowl victories since 2016 than wins against the Chiefs. We play them twice a year. So there you go. That's a fun fact for you.
Shout out, I'm enjoying this tasty beverage from a guy whose beard looks like the perfect blend of salt and pepper. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker, that is.
Yeah, they have asked Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker, to record him reading any type of book that is around so that people can sleep better, as he has such a soothing and smoky voice.
I heard that Cody Rhodes was inspired to do his series of vignettes on grooming tips to make yourself more dashing after seeing the videos posted by Big Josh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard they're naming a street after him where he doesn't even live.
Never has lived. Ever in his life. Yeah. All right, we'll move on. Mr. Fourth Row, that Denver crowd, and I say that Denver crowd because Mr. Fourth Row is a listener from the Denver area that I think also kind of found his way to us through that WIR, but more of a later, come along to that WIR crowd. But a lot of the folks that he religiously watched at his local wrestling crowd or his local wrestling venues and wrestling companies ended up here in Kansas City with the National Wrestling League, League, as it were, with the NWL. And so we got to meet a lot of these folks who we talked to them. I don't know if we've ever told you this story, Mr. Fourth Row. We had the Howlets at NWL. Hoodie Howlett, Anaya, and they had, I forget her name, they had a companion. She was a valet manager type role for them in NWL. And we were talking to them, doing a quick interview. And then as that ended, they were being friendly and talking to us. And we said, hey, listen, you work out of Colorado primarily. And they were like, yeah. We said, hey, listen, we've got a guy who listens to our podcast, is a regular contributor and fan and like a friend of ours who is there quite a bit. And I think does some things like you might know him. We were like, he goes by the name of Mr. Fourth Row, and they were like, Artie! And they were like, we love that guy. And it was just so fun. Like, just a brief moment. Like, we talked briefly, very quickly, like, oh, he's so fun, like, super nice guy. And then kind of continued other conversations. But it was just one of those, like, connecting things that I'm talking about. The 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table has given us.
Yeah, and the Rocky Mountain Pro, my good friend, Tyler Stinson, who we've actually had on the show as well, he used to wrestle out in that area when he was roommates with, closing the loop, Justin Gaethje, who is in the main event of this weekend's UFC card. Because Tyler Stinson is a motherfucker you do not want to mess with. He is a bad son of a bitch.
Legit fella.
Legit as it gets. Yeah, and so then that's when I started checking out Rocky Mountain Pro. Anthony actually had Sharkbait had a couple matches out there at Rocky Mountain Pro as well.
True that. Yeah, and Mr. Fourth Row, heavily involved in the local independent scene there. And that was one of his questions to us. Like, is there still a push? Is there still a draw to go see your things? I think it's less than what we saw in a few years prior to now. I think there was like a big indie push there a few years back. But I think I think you should. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. At least in our area, we're getting a lot of good stuff right now.
Yeah, I think AEW kind of took that, right? Because it was go check out the Young Bucks, or Cody Rhodes is a free agent. He could go there. Or you could possibly get, even before, like a Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen. You know what I mean? So there were independent guys, but then now those independent guys go to Defy, or they used to go from Evolve right to WWE, or from like Defy or one of those promotions right to AEW. So those two promotions, specifically more AEW than WWE, just kind of take the independent guy is coming to your town. Eddie Kingston came to NWL and wrestled Jeremy Wyatt. You know what I mean? But like, that ain't going to happen today. So that's what I think makes it a little bit more difficult with going to the local shows, is if you don't know anyone, no one's going to, make you drive out there necessarily, unless you want to just see pro wrestling. But yes, there's very good local pro wrestlers, especially in this area, Dak Draper being one of them. Obviously Jeremy Wyatt being another, and then so many others. So yeah, that's what I would say is, yes, there can be, but there's more wrestling options now, right?
True.
Since 2016,
you can find more than you had, right?
Yeah, you got AEW, you got 5 shows of AEW, you got Ring of Honor, which is basically AEW, you got another WWE running shows on Saturday night now too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep
You
it
wanna
moving.
All right, this one is a bit of a surprise. I don't want to tell you who it is first, at their request even, because you might figure it out as we go along. You ready for this one?
Oh, goddamn. Yeah, let's do it.
Hello, boys. Remember me? I was once a dedicated contributor to this show. But unfortunately, as time has went on, I had to stop tweeting the table. I had to stop emailing. But this isn't just a regular episode. It is 10 years. And you know what that means. It means... Let's do this! I'm not an ordinary listener. I am someone who has bought you guys beer. I've been in Tom's car. I've met Tim's family. I've also sat across the table, not tweet the table, but an actual table across from Tim and had a meal. And Tom, I threatened to drive a truck up your ass. So this can only be one person.
White trash!
Apparently it could be 2 people.
Coming to a truck stop near you! Hailing from Dunkin' Donuts, from the great state of obesity!
You got that? Fat asses! Now go take your clothes off. I'm working off.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is Justin Summers, formerly known as Heavy, said many, many times on this show. Man, 10 years. 10 years of doing this podcast. Granted, I know it hasn't been perfect. I know you guys have taken some breaks here and there and even did a different show for a while, but still 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table is insane. I was a little late to the party. I first showed up closer to the end of the first year and was someone who constantly tweeted the table. You know, apologies for not necessarily being around as much, but it's just kind of how my life has gone. But huge congrats on 10 years. I went through a bunch of old emails that I had because I don't delete my sent folder. And the account that I've used, I've just kind of I went through and read every email, or at least some important ones, that went to tableshow@gmail.com. And there was one email in particular where I purposely incorporated a lot of sound bites, many of which I have somewhat forgot about. But reading through the email and seeing some of them just brought back a lot of good memories of listening to the show and participating on it. I think it's really cool to see any podcast go on this long, especially with you guys. And just thinking how much has changed in the last 10 years, whether it be, you know, personally or within the world, or even us we went from being friends to enemies to friends to enemies, and I think we're back to friends. We're pretty good. Kind of showed how we've all matured. And hey, within these past 10 years, Tom, or you're still T-Mac to me, but Tom, like he got married and I got married, like insane. Who the hell would put up with our asses? Well, we found someone each who would, and we both found ways to incorporate a wrestling belt into our special day. This podcast and the one that it kind of stemmed from. Sorry, T-Mac. On wrestling.com we can review. It's crazy to look back that far and to think how we've all progressed in our life and how just how Tim and I would do the WIR stuff and how that was like, I don't want to say a big thing in our lives, but it's something that we did, every single week. We were constant contributors, and that show's not even around anymore, but it's crazy how something like that can form friendships. And our friendship hasn't been perfect, but I'm very proud of the progress that we've made. And seeing you guys do 10 years is very impressive. A huge congrats. And the crazy thing is my podcast, Wrestling Cheers, that started off as the Ohio Indie Report, is going to celebrate 11 years soon. But unfortunately, next week is my last episode. So as that fades away, you guys are still going strong. Proud of you both. And imagine if this show lasts for another 10 years. What the hell will you guys be talking about? And what the hell what would your lives be like? All right. That's going to do it for me. Don't forget, never give up. Later.
I remember that one.
First of all, we are perfect. We have a perfect friendship because of those battles and those struggles that we have worked out. But Tom, what does Justin Summers bring to mind?
Dude, yeah, one point about that. Every close friend of mine that I've seen in person. Tim, you're a little bit different because we do this more often.
What, you try to get you? I just gotta. But
yes!
I wonder whatever happened to that other Spanish Announce Table podcast.
From that suckhole country that you call Canada, what that mean is
they're probably not around anymore. I don't know. I've never looked them up. As a joke, one day I was gonna buy one of their shirts, when we weren't really on speaking terms, but I never did that. You know what you guys could do? You could
take your clothes off and lay on that bench.
Whoa.
Because I know.
You want to work out with me?
And those are not empty
threats.
Okay, I'm done. Later.
That motherfucker
still PSing you after all these years.
Oh God, that got me so good, motherfucker.
But you were saying about friendships.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, that was fucking great.
Yeah, that was classic.
Oh, that's one of my favorite moments on this show.
PPS.
Say something stupid.
Hey, guys, remember how much did the WWE Network cost when it was its own thing? Was it? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was definitely. I think there was a whole song that went with it too. It just had a bunch. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but yeah. Okay, now I am done.
The only chance you have no chance, but you had a chance, is that you can run lickety split. Because you can't run because you got some fat asses. And after it's done, we're gonna have a tailgate party for all my freaks out there in Atlanta, Georgia.
God damn. Okay, it's officially done there.
Okay. That was the fucking best. Oh my God.
He told me, he was like, listen, what day is this thing going? And I was like, Thursday. And he was like, all right, listen, I'm drawing a lot of shit here. He's like, I'm pulling up a lot of stuff. He's like, it's going to take me some time, but it's coming. And he was like, and he gave me all these instructions. And I was like, I knew when we put out this call, the one person that would deliver a home run out of this, for sure. I knew a bunch would deliver a home run, and everybody has.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew, I was like, I can count on Justin Summers to kill this segment.
Yeah. That was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me at the start because I was like, "Who the fuck's been in my car?" But now I remember.
Yes.
I picked him up.
So many things. Yes, I've met Justin.
On.
Yeah.
No, we got to throw you under the table because you didn't record him when he was a special guest on the Spanish Announce
We
Table.
recorded that, goddamn you!
No, you totally were like, I'm not recording this motherfucker, and I was like, I guess I'll go with it. And so yeah, remember that? You were like, I don't want to do that, and I was like, all right, man, I guess we're just gonna be hanging out.
I was
here.
like, we're gonna fake a recording the whole time. Yeah, I remember that now, you asshole. Yeah, technical difficulties. If we had a second name for this show that presented itself to us over the years, it's technical difficulties. And we had Justin Summers come meet us. We met him in a Target parking lot because he had to park his truck. Big rig. By the way, one of two folks who have threatened to drive a truck up your ass that I forgot that there was two folks.
Yeah.
Two independent, over-the-road truck drivers have both, on their own volition, said, I'm turning this 18-wheeler up your ass.
Yeah.
With your bad fucking wrestling takes. All right. So,
yeah.
We met
so
him.
what I was going to say.
We brought him in. We recorded 3-4 fucking segments with this guy. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
We had a blast.
Oh, yeah. No, what I was going to say about friendship, though, is just to get to know me just a little bit more, even though we're 10 years into it. Other than Tim, because Tim, I speak to you more virtually than anything because of how far we live away from each other. But every close friend I've had a fist fight with. Every single one. Like everyone at my wedding, Tim, that was a man that came from my side.
We've had some discussions online where we've had to, you know what I mean? We've had to have some serious discussions over years. You know what I mean?
Nah, you've been fine. But there's been.
There was the year you caught me talking a little trash on you to I forget who. I think it was Living Legend on the Twitter DMs. He was like, you guys should do this. And I was like, I know, I've been asking Tom to do it for fucking months and he just won't fucking do it. And you were like, hey, I can read all of these fucking messages in real time, guys. And we were like, oops. And you were like, hey, to be fair, you said that to me. You were like, like, this isn't new information. I was just letting you know, like, I fucking see it.
Yeah. No, that was fine.
At that moment, I was like, oh shit, I might have to fight Tom when I see him.
No. With Justin, the thing that I've always appreciated about him is that he gives me a different perspective from a different type of wrestling fan, but he never like crosses the line. Maybe I have because I don't have a good vocabulary, but it's always been very, well, what about this? And I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? And it's like, well, how about this? I'm like, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like
it's always Tom getting mad that he wasn't ready for the question.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is this now? Yeah.
Yeah. No. Hey, Justin. And yes, due to the WIR, which was a competitive by nature at one point competition.
Yeah, you guys kind of had some things, right?
That we got at it because, quite frankly, we were the fucking best to do it on that show.
Ash,
bar none. Ash, Kiwi, all you guys love you, but hey, man, fucking results prove themselves. It's fucking Justin and I were kind of the top tier, right? We were the Cena and Orton, if you will. Me, the Cena, but so that's kind of how it played out. But that led to a lot of, interactions. And it was one of these where we had never met each other in person, right? So it's easy. This has been a social media experiment for several decades. We've kind of grown with the rise of major social media at the same time, I feel like, Tom, as the Spanish Announce Table.
Yeah, and with Justin specifically, I think there's only been one issue that we've ever really had between the two of us. And we obviously know that pro wrestling isn't a sport. Other than that, it's been very, it's just been kind of back, but we know, right? We know.
But again, Tom and I are not perfect people. We know that. It's one of the reasons we're great friends because we can work through that together, right? We understand that about each other.
Yeah, and Justin was with us when I was in my dark period. That was when I was like, I'll fucking fight this whole world and not even think twice.
That you were able to maintain a friendship with Tom.
Yeah.
I can tell you from experience, it takes a lot of fucking effort and swallowing of pride. It takes a lot.
I was fucking.
It takes a lot of like, hold on, okay, come on. I know he said that, but what he meant was this.
No, I did mean it. No,
he's like, no, I meant that and that. You fucking son of a bitch.
Yeah. But to answer his question about what will we be doing in 10 years, well, I'll be divorced. And so if I'm still doing this show in 10 years, I got a divorce.
Yeah.
And so
we'll be talking about how MJF has taken over AEW from, as like a Triple H style perspective. WWE will have been sold through an Endeavor merger to,
Saudis.
AT&T or what are the Saudis? Yeah, the Saudis will own that. Yep.
Yeah. And so we'll be talking about the demise of WWE because of corporate greed. We'll be talking about how Tony Khan's father has either retired or just left. And now Tony Khan runs the Jacksonville Jags. And because of that, there needs to be a new ownership, and that's going to be MJF, or new CEO, excuse me. And then from there, we're going to probably talk about how I cry at night because the love of my life left me because I'm addicted to just talking shit. Dog.
Yeah.
What about you? Where will you be?
One second. Listen, I've worked very hard to try to make myself a person that won't make my wife divorce me. So I'm going to hope that in 10 years, I'm not in the same predicament as Tom seems to think he will be. But given my past history track record, maybe I very well might be. So maybe we'll both be doing this show as divorced, right? Sad, lonely fellas. Going to every indie wrestling show around because we got nothing else to do. Got our beer guts hanging out.
Yeah, Tim and Tom Talk Divorce. That'll be the new name of the show.
But I know if we keep getting beer sponsors like the great, wonderful Big Josh, the Rebel Trucker, who keeps supplying us with these wonderful beers because he's a fucking great guy who smells good, then we'll be happy in what we do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, my God. I tell you what. Truth be told, he has a really great taste in podcasts.
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah. I think I spilled beer on my laptop here. So if the show cuts out on us,
shocker. We'll have a technical difficulty.
Oh my! I wonder why we keep having technical difficulties each week when Tim spills beer on the computer pad every fucking time. All right, Theo has joined the chat and he says, "Woo! Congrats." SAT, Spanish Announce Table is what he means. He says, Tim and Tom divorce talk show. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what we'll get into.
Probably all right. What we'll talk about.
So, Tom, I've got another video submission. And this one, you probably will not see coming.
I didn't see the last one coming, so I'm not that smart.
And this one is not necessarily from a loyal listener of the show.
No, Jesus. Is there another person who hates me?
No. Well, I mean, he probably hates you because, I think he hates everyone.
Who doesn't?
But this is a video submission from the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt.
Tim and Tom, the Spanish Announce Table, celebrating 10 years of talking about professional wrestling nationally and in the Kansas City area. Now, I don't know if I should congratulate you guys or feel sorry for you guys because 10 years of putting up with each other and spewing bad wrestling takes week after week. And that's got to be exhausting. I'm surprised you guys haven't split up yet and then got back together and had like a reunion tour. But be that as it may, 10 years is a long time. So long, in fact, that you guys have been an inspiration for many more local podcasts. And as bad as your takes are, theirs are even worse. So good job, guys. I guess this really isn't a congratulatory decade, huh? So here's to another decade of dominance and prominence on the Kansas City airwaves or podcast platforms. Yeah, I think that's all I got. So, thanks. Thanks for the support. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for the support. No, seriously. Thanks for the support. You guys cool.
Fucking Jeremy Wyatt. That's what I thought might be the most seasoned guest on the Spanish Announce Table.
Oh, one of the best guys in the world. You want to talk about someone through 10 years who has taken their game to like new levels that are just unprecedented. Not to say that he couldn't have done it when we started the podcast, but since we've started, who Jeremy Wyatt was 10 years ago.
We said he was one of the best in the game then, and
he's definitely
only improved since then.
Yeah. The idea that and I'm not trying to kiss his ass because he sent us a video, which I definitely appreciate. That's probably the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I will kiss his ass for that, but also I'm not trying to do that right now.
No, I'm not doing. But like the idea that we haven't seen him in a televised match for any of these major promotions is an indictment on the promotions, not him. He is just, and again, this Saturday at Central States Wrestling, an hour-long match with Dak Draper. It's going to be insane.
And if you have not heard of Jeremy the Monarch Wyatt, shame on you. Shout out Dak Draper. But also, if you've seen the video of the meme or the video where the pro wrestler pulls the chair out from the lady who gave him shit.
Yeah.
That is Jeremy Wyatt right there.
I think that was at St. Louis Anarchy. Yeah, that was so fucking badass. Yeah, he's awesome. And again, like I said, one of my favorite memories of this podcast was the WrestleMania 30 picks that we made with Jeremy Wyatt. And speaking of bad wrestling takes, Jeremy Wyatt, we all said that Undertaker was beating Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm going to send him this. Be like, listen, what about this bad wrestling take that happened in 2014 or whatever the fuck it was? Yeah. No, seriously, Jeremy Wyatt is another one of those where we've talked about this earlier in this episode. The local wrestling is amazing. You will be able to build relationships with other local wrestling fans, with other local wrestlers, if you frequent your local independent wrestling. And again, it's similar to local theater, right? You're supporting local folks who like to do an art, and all they want out of your turn is your smiles and claps, right? And so go enjoy that, right? Go have fun.
And some merch table stuff.
Buy some merch. By the way, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Click the link to the Pro Wrestling Tees website and get a shirt.
Yeah, check it out.
All right. Okay.
That was a great man. Yeah.
So, Tom, I've got one last Table Nation submission for you. I don't know if you're ready for this one. I don't know if I'm ready for this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But this comes from a long time emailer of
Just get my fucking headphones
and
on.
it is PGBL, and he says, "Oh yeah, fucking right, doggy. That's good cake." Damn, I don't know if I can still do this.
Yes.
What's up, Table Show? On PGBL, popping in like an unwanted teenage boner.
Love you so much.
My voice.
Oh my God.
With some email goodness for you butt nuggets. See, I get the hiccups when I do this.
Hey, can I ask him one thing though? On PGBL, you've got his photo up. I see on the YouTube, and that is awesome. And I love on PGBL. I love PGBL too.
Yeah, okay.
But you got to take for someone else has to see Tim going into the PGBL email, because that's half the fucking fun for me as well.
All right. I'm trying to calm the hiccups.
It happens. It happens.
Because this method acting
is
great.
tough.
Firstly, congrats on the 10-year anniversary, a massive achievement.
I love it so much.
I'm just working through the hiccups. I'm yelling through the hiccups at this point.
This is the best.
It shows your outstanding commitment to delivering weekly content. It's worth pointing out, if you had raped T-Mac on the first episode, you would be paroled by now. Food for thought. On to some wrestling questions. I'm keen to hear your take. God damn, that was hard. I need a swig of this great beer from Big Josh, the Slater Gator beer sponsor of the week.
So much fun. Oh God. Oh Jesus, that's the best. Send these again. Oh man. Oh Jesus.
I had to look through a lot of pictures to find one of un-PGBL that looked like he really didn't give a fuck, right? Because he's always so happy in his pictures.
Yeah,
he's a great fella. I've met un-PGBL. Well, I've met GBL in person, right? Maybe I haven't met un-PGBL in person. That would have been a different experience. Again, another international caller. Lives over there in Australia or New Zealand, one of those.
Yeah.
Came for a whole United States tour and was like, hey, again, one of the WIR listeners that joined us, right? And said, hey, I'm hitting all the stops. Anybody that I know, let me know. He said, hey, is there anything to see in Kansas City? And I gave this guy a book of all the great Kansas City sites. And he was like, great. But also, fucker, do you want to meet up? Like, dumbass? Like, I was asking, like, great. Kansas City sites, I can Google that, asshole. Right? Like, yeah. I think he was like, hey, you want to meet up? And I'm like, oh, okay. And we had dinner, met his wife. Great time. Great people. Super
this isn't
fun.
who we're talking to, though. Get back to it.
But that's not who we're talking to.
By the way, Theo75 says, what's the PayPal link to pay for Tim's voice box surgery? Just donate at SpanishNownStable.net. There you go. And,
yeah, there's a Cash App link and a PayPal link right there on the top bar. He says, number one, Judgment Day on all 3 shows. Same shit, same results, blah, blah, cheat to win, blah. How long till they get burnt out due to overexposure?
I mean, aren't they?
Aren't they already? Yeah.
I kind of feel like, and I don't watch consistently anymore, but I do kind of feel like Dominic Mysterio's boos aren't like the, vitriol that they were at the start. It's kind of like, oh no, we just boo him now.
It's what we do now, right?
Yeah.
All right, number 2. When, if ever, do you see them again using Seth and Becky in concurrent storylines?
Hopefully never.
Yeah, hopefully never.
Look,
man.
Here's a couple things why. And I think we've kind of talked about it a little bit about Roman Reigns, but like the good looking couple. Now, if they book them as heels, maybe that would work. But when the good looking couple is supposed to be like sympathetic, fuck that. They're good looking, rich, and on TV. I don't feel sorry for them. You know what I mean? Like within reason, obviously. Yeah. But like the characters, I don't like. So when they did that the first time around against, what was it, Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans, that was whack. Yeah.
I'm rethinking my original statement. This idea of like, it was hard to find like this thing of like GBL being so awesome. Like hard because he's like this swell, great guy, but like, he comes up with a lot of dark stuff to say in these emails.
Well, it's not GBL, un-PGBL.
Un-PGBL, right. He gets in that moment and he hammers out on the keyboard and then therapy. That's what we're here for. We're therapy for you.
Because if you recall when PGBL would send us emails, they were a delight. It was
heartwarming.
Conversational.
Yes.
Yeah. Very thoughtful. Not to say this isn't thoughtful, but yeah, it was very warm, comforting, thought-provoking. And this, look, guys, he did a lot of un-PGBL just to give you a little peek behind the curtain. So now you get why I was so ramped up, right? Like this motherfucker, I'm ready to yell with them. You fuck that,
Yeah,
like,
Tom used to say forever, he was like, as much as y'all love the un-PGBL emails, you're not seeing what I'm seeing when these
emails. This is the best. Yeah. When Tim would get like that, I was like,
so he said everything else is in all caps. So this one is not in all caps. So I'm going to assume this is not un-PG. He says, I don't see Finn beating Seth, but I see Rhea holding the title until Mania before Becky beats her.
Ooh, here's the thing. Becky seemed more credible when it was the man, Becky Lynch. Big time Bex, there's something not connected. It's disjointed. You're the tough man character, but now you're wearing fucking fingers for eyeglasses, and we got this fun clown costume that we're wearing each week, but we're still, and it's just like, it's kind of like how I was telling you about Taya Valkyrie. Like it's 10 different fucking characters. I don't care about any of them. Like be one of them and maybe I'm interested in that, but like Becky's disjointed ever since she lost the man character. So I don't want her to beat Rhea. Rhea is the more complete wrestler.
All right. Well, he follows it up here. He says, keep up the podcast gold, you fucking legends. That's all for now. I'm taking my balls and going home. Later, Jeebs.
Oh, man. Hey.
That's a blast from the past. I used to do that weekly.
Oh, yeah.
Weekly,
That's what
I
I'm
used to
saying.
get worked up like that. And then we'd drive home like 20 minutes later.
Oh, I was like a 35, 40 minute. Yeah. I was like, oh, damn, why'd you cut me off? Piece of shit. Yeah. 1 o'clock in the morning when that's how long you should go. Motherfucker, bullshit. Yeah. Here's what I'll say on BGBL. I hope you're listening, first off. Josh, Big Josh says, on PGBL for Spanish Announce Table Hall of Fame. Of course, that's first ballot. Most of you are first ballot, if we're being honest. There's a couple of you, and you know who you are, that aren't. But on PGBL, again, I hope you're listening. And if you are and you hear this clip, bring those back once a month. Tim is like Jordan coming back on the Wizards. He just needs to get a couple short shots up, and then he's putting 45 down. You know what I mean? But like, it takes him a few games.
Oh, no, listen. Using that basketball reference, I will go play basketball. And if like my son says, let's go play basketball. If we go today and we haven't played in months, I'm going to suck ass. But if we go 3 times this week, by that third time, I'm making him say, what in the fuck? You've never shot this good in your life. And I'm like, no, I just needed a warm up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I needed to get there.
So let's ramp up on PGBL. Again, we miss you so much. So come, if you want to start off with PGBLs. Yeah. Yeah, you had a steady position when you're like, yeah, I do a podcast. And then I think that was the week when we were like, this shit doesn't fucking matter. Races don't matter. It's so dumb that we're talking about this. And then UnPGBL had one of those super dark ones. And you're like, hey, I don't know if I can tell them that I do this podcast anymore. And I was like, yeah, okay, maybe we should switch this up. But yeah,
it was a little bit different. But fuck that, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Give a shit now. I know. I agree.
I will say though, for anyone who wants to go a little crazy, we love it. But if you're wanting your, post or video or email to get clipped and put on social media, that shit probably ain't going to work because they put that stuff down super quick. So you ain't going to get a TikTok out of that one.
We don't police those, unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, that's all.
But that has been the Table Nation contributions for the Spanish Announce Table. Tom, so many memories, man. So many memories. What are your thoughts?
Love it. This is what I was going to ask you. And I'm going to make a little bit of a pivot here on Dynamite because we've been going, I'm looking at the YouTube here. We've been going for over 116 minutes. So this is kind of a marathon one. So we'll get to AEW kind of like a motorcycle, just fast and quick.
Yeah, we might hit it quick, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to ask you though is, so if, 10 years, right? What would be the thing that if you had to tell someone the thing that comes to your mind, right? Like, I do a podcast. Oh, what was the best moment? What was your funnest moment? What was the moment that comes to mind? What would you tell that person?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, I would say favorite single moment,
or just not even necessarily favorite, just like, oh, that's the moment I think of with the podcast.
Well, I always think of the moments I've met folks from the podcast, right? Like I always think of that, but I also think of very recently All Out where we went and we met folks like from TikTok that we interact with, right? Mm-hmm. As the podcast. I view that moment, but I think I will always remember I think in general, I don't remember a moment. I remember this concept that we just did, right? I remember doing UnPGBL emails. I remember rolling out of the chair in a studio, right? Mm-hmm. I remember trying to figure out how a Periscope works, right? So we could do video, right?
Periscope, yeah.
Yeah, just I remember just the whole accoutrement of everything. If that's a weird way to say it. That's why I say I'm bad with lists because I don't remember single things. I remember kind of everything.
Well, so I remember one thing, and this is what I would tell. If I get to know them, that's the caveat here. I'm telling them to listen to the last segment of episode 21. That is the Spanish Announce Table. I went to a studio to get drunk to record the worst wrestling podcast ever televised. And Tim did it separately, and then we put it together with Tim's editing skills, and it was just the funniest thing.
I'll tell you one of the moments that sticks out the most, and it's still a burning question in my mind that I don't know that we're ever going to get answered.
About 9.
But we could. Yeah, about 9 inches. Right. It could. get answered because there's a picture involved. Rob Schamberger, when WrestleMania was out in California, LA, sends us a picture of him and his wife, Katie Schamberger, who is an awesome friend of the show, also been on the show many times, super awesome person. And they said while they were out there, somebody came up to them and were like, "You're Rob Schamberger. I heard about you on the Spanish announce table." Not what happened with Katie, right? New Rob Schamberger, the resident artist for WWE. As much as anybody might ever be able to say for Rob Schamberger, this motherfucker is the resident artist for WWE, right? He's an accomplished artist, right? Lives completely off of his paintings. And he says, okay, like it wasn't that like he brought us a fan. Somebody came to him and said, "I heard about you from the Spanish announce table." He took a picture with this person and was like, this person said they were a fan and heard about me because of you guys. And we don't know who the fuck that guy is. Never heard who the fuck that guy is. Never heard from that guy goes, "I was that guy." Like nothing. We don't know who this is. So that always sticks out in my mind that there was somebody out there either traveled to WrestleMania or was in the California area, saw Rob Schamberger and went, I heard about that guy in the Spanish announce table. And to me, I was like, holy shit. That felt big time to me.
I will also say this was right before I hit the dark ages. This is what I would tell someone who doesn't know or that I don't know that well that says, "Hey, you do a podcast? What's the coolest thing about it?" Is the time that we were a trending topic on, now it's defunct most likely.
We didn't even know. I think Rob Schamberger told us. He clued us in.
We were a trending topic on Twitter. Hashtag tweet the table was a trending topic alongside, I think it was Top Gun or something else like Tom Cruise or Mission Impossible.
Because there was times we were getting like 300, 400, 500 tweet the tables a week. And I think it just hit the fucking, hit the tweet, hit the trending topics.
And then the third thing that I would say, and I know I said one, but these are the three for me. The coolest personal moment for me with this show, besides the friendship I've developed with you, was that through a sponsor, we were able to buy floor seats for Monday Night Raw, in which we saw the Regal twins be the first two security guards to break up a fight between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. We also saw Rob Schamberger backstage in a segment. We saw Iceman. We saw so many others of people we knew.
You scared
on the floor.
These young adolescent ladies sitting in front of us because you jumped up and you were like, "I know that fucking guy!" when Rob Schamberger came on the screen.
Yeah, because he was doing nothing.
Oh. Yeah, and they fucking freaked out.
Shut up! This is a wrestling show.
In fact. You had a lady guest prior to your beautiful wife now who was wearing this shirt, but she had made a few adjustments to wear it a little bit tighter than I was wearing. And we were getting a lot of people saying, "What is that?"
They weren't.
It was good advertisement.
They weren't asking about the show.
Ooh, it was great advertisement. They were like, "What is the Spanish announce table?" Gosh.
Yeah. And she was weird.
Was that the Christmas tree girl?
No.
Yeah. Different girl. Christmas tree happened before the show ever, right? Before the show began.
No.
Right?
It happened during. Okay. It happened before her, though. Yeah, it happened. I think it was like 2014. Yeah. Yeah. Man, fuck that. I can't do anything, so I'm going to ruin her Christmas tree. Man, can't be talking shit to me and acting like I ain't going to do anything. Oh, man.
Okay. All right. So that's the Spanish announce table lore. If you missed something, if you're a longtime listener or you're a new listener and you wish you would have played along in this, feel free to send us something. We can sprinkle them in and out. We love to celebrate ourselves, of course, and we love to celebrate you. Please, we used to do a lot more design built into the show interactions with you folks. But we stopped doing that just because when we took a break, they stopped. So if you guys would like that to be a more regular part of the show, start sending them in. We'll build them into the show, right? We don't want to force that, but
yeah. Well, and technology also kind of limited some of the capabilities that we had that we were able to do.
I'm all now for send me a video submission. It just can't be 8 minutes long every week, right? Those kind of things.
Yes.
If you want to send something and ask us a question or get us a quick topic or say something you thought, like, we would love to discuss it because, as Tom said, diversity is the key. We're two white guys living in the middle of America right now who grew up in the middle of America talking about what we saw on pro wrestling TV. What we saw isn't what you saw, so we'd like to know what you saw. So we're going to get into our regular show now. Wow. Jesus. All right, so let's get into 2 hours to talk about the past. So we'll maybe abridge this a little bit.
Yeah,
we always do on this day. We're going to do that. But then we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. But we'll maybe not do it step by step chronologically, right?
No. We're gonna drive by on AEW.
Yeah, right. We'll workshop this live. But let's get into a fun segment that we have been playing. I know we took a trip back in time and discussed things, the WWE and NXT and ROH champions and whatnot on July 24th, 2013, the birth of the Spanish announce table. But Tom, each week we like to go back in time and talk about, let me pull up real quick here. Let me get everything pulled up and talk about what happened on this day in pro wrestling history on this day, right? So each week, we're going to talk about something, right? Let's talk about what happened on July 31st, 2011. AAA Verando de Escándalo 2011 was held in Guadalajara.
You're an asshole. You are such an asshole.
What? You already know where this is going?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Why would I be talking about AAA Verando de Escándalo 2011 in Guadalajara? Pimpinella Escarlata won the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship in an 8-way elimination match against Cynthia Morena, Fabi Apache, Jennifer Blake, Lolita, then champion Mari Apache, Mickie James, and Sexy Star. Chessman defeated Extreme Tiger, Joe Leiter, and Abyss in a Monsters Ball 4-way match. Abyss.
Yeah, I like
AAA
Abyss.
in 2011. That's interesting. I wonder why he's there.
Yeah.
Monster Clown, Murder Clown, and Psycho Clown defeated Damien 666, Halloween, and X-Fly in a 3-on-3 hair versus mask steel cage match. That's good stuff. I kind of want to go see this. Dr. Wagner Jr. and L.A. Park both lost in their AAA Mega Championship 3-way match against the reigning, defending AAA Mega Champion.
Man, I was having so much fun. I was having so much fun, man. God dang it. Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff fucking Jarrett. Retaining the AAA Mega Championship on this day, July 31st, 2011. He's so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was him. It was all him. Yeah, it wasn't the backstage, anything like that. It was all the fucking money.
Not like, hey, I'm going to bring Abyss and a bunch of other Mickie James and some other stars, but I got to win. I got to go over.
Yeah. You can get them, but I got to get this win. Oh, okay. Mega champion.
All right. Let me take a quick sip of beer from our beer sponsor of the week.
By the way,
Rebel Trucker.
By the way, here's another fun tidbit because I also I'm in the chat for the Spanish Announce Table on the YouTube stream. Sometimes you ask a question, I might not say it on the podcast, but I'll say it in the chat. So maybe you should be joining the chat because then I'll fill you in on some details if you ask.
Yeah, Big Josh also said Rob Schamberger blocked him on Twitter. What's up with that, Rob?
I don't think he's on Twitter anymore. So
he definitely left Twitter.
Yeah.
Definitely left Twitter. He might have left Twitter before Threads existed.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think 100%. He's just Instagram. So if he blocked you, he doesn't know anymore.
Yeah, he don't know anymore.
He blocked everyone.
Yeah. And if it had to do anything, it would probably be around stuff that gets discussed on Twitter, if that clues you in. All right, let's go hop back in the Spanish Announce time machine and go back in time and see what happened. August 1st, 2000. WCW taped an episode. of WCW Thunder in Terre Haute, Indiana. You think so? Calm down. Booker T, Brian Adams, Brian Clark, and Sting. You're so sure of yourself. Defeated Jeff Jarrett, the Demon, the Great Muta, and Vampiro in an 8-man elimination tag team match for the main event. Jeff Jarrett lost here.
Okay,
right?
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I got to fix my camera already. You got me so mad. My camera's gone blurry, Tom. I love the Spanish announce table. 10 years of this, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
You ever regret it? Yeah. You're like, man, if I just would have said, hey, no, man, I'm not really interested in the podcast. I do real radio. All right. Lance Storm retained the WCW Cruiserweight Championship against Juventud Guerrera. Lance Storm retained the WCW Hardcore Championship, defeating Norman Smiley in a hardcore match. And Ernest the Cat Miller failed to win the WCW United States Championship, losing to the reigning WCW United States Champion.
I don't trust you. I think it's fucking Jeff Jarrett.
It's Lance Storm. It's fucking Lance Storm held the Cruiserweight title, the Hardcore title, and the United States title. I knew this one would throw you for a loop. I knew you were like, it's going to be fucking Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
WCW 2000.
Well, and then because you're like, oh, at the start he lost, and it's like WCW, so of course he's gonna come back. Yeah. Lance Storm held 3 fucking titles.
I didn't know he held 3 fucking titles in WCW 2000, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why they went out of business.
Talk about the man that charisma forgot. When we say Roderick Strong is the man that charisma forgot, Lance Storm, Jesus.
By the way, I'm not going to mention this when we talk about it because I'm just going to do high level. But when Roderick Strong bumped it or like interrupted Adam Cole and MJF's promo in the back, MJF said, he goes, what do you think you're doing? You create a character? Like, or he goes, no, he said, you generic caw, which is a creative wrestler.
Right,
He's like, what do you think you're doing? You generic caw?
I can't wait till we talk about Dynamite. That segment was one of my moments of the year. All right. All right, let's hop back into the Spanish Announce Time Machine and see what happened. Back in time on this day. Once again, my camera is going all over the place. Look at this. You see, if you're listening to us or watching us live, you would see the struggles that Tom and I deal with on a weekly basis to bring you this great content, and then you would know why we think it's warranted to celebrate 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table, because we're doing this for you for no gain. We don't make any money off this. You know what I mean?
Not yet.
Which is where we implore you to go to SpanishAnnounceTable.net and donate and at least buy us some beer for the show like Big Josh did, because he's a great guy. I heard he helps old ladies across the street when they didn't ask for the help.
I tell you what, compliments are great, but I'm just going to straight up say that Big Josh is more fun than Bubble Wrap. Okay? That's what Big Josh is. Okay? That's what he is doing.
He is. All right, let's move on and see what happened. August 2nd, 1992. WCW taped WCW main event in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
This show would air on broadcast television 2 weeks later.
Okay.
And would show Tracy Smothers lost to Barry Windham. Jushin Thunder Liger defeated Jimmy Garvin. George South lost to Flyin' Brian Pillman. Van Hammer defeated Eric Davidson. However, Vader lost the WCW World Heavyweight Championship to a wrestler who won a raffle for the championship opportunity when the originally scheduled contender Sting was declared unable to compete due to injury, leading to one of the most historical title changes in United States pro wrestling history.
Yeah. Because fucking Ric Flair said, I'm taking my title. I'm going WWF. And that's when Ron Simmons beat Vader. And they're like, all right, well, then if you're going to take your ball, we're going to put it on a black guy.
Put it on a black guy.
So that's what they did.
I mean, and the most credible.
How America is that statement? Oh yeah, well we'll put it on a black guy.
I mean, in the 90s, 100%, yeah. But yeah, Ron Simmons won the World Heavyweight Championship over Vader. Yeah, historic moment. And then it took WWE only 20 years later to do it first for a black guy in WWE.
Have they done it since? Like, I don't know. Like, geez, have they done it since?
Yeah, well, so Kofi won.
Right, correct. Kofi won. Now Kofi was their claim to like the first African descent, right? Yeah.
Yes, and so we also want to clarify, The Rock was also black. We're not trying to say he was not black, but
it's also not of us to say, right? But it's recognized, of course, he does have, right?
Yes,
African American heritage in his blood, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they were recognizing as their celebration that they showed you over and over as it hit you over the head with it was Kofi Kingston. And then from Kofi Kingston, I think the other two have been Big E and Bobby Lashley.
Can we talk about this? So people talk about WWE a lot, right? And when we reference this, like, man, you know how shitbag the people in charge of WWE are. Their first fully black champion was in 2000 what 19?
Yeah, 19.
40 years after the trend? Like, the fuck, guys?
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Like, yeah. Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's and again, yes, again, because The Rock obviously was not hiding his blackness, so we're not trying to discredit that, but yeah, from what they told you, WWE, Kofi Kingston was
the reason I don't always like bring to The Rock again. Yeah, his father was black, right? We're not going to say that, but like The Rock never, ever outside of like them, you know, giving you a wink, wink, nudge, nudge with the Nation of Domination, ever really addressed or tried to direct your attention to the black part of his family history. It had always been the Samoan part, right?
Yeah,
so the Rock character to us was always, even when he first came out, was Rocky Maivia, right? Like we all thought, hey, this is Hawaii Samoans going on here.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. But yes, I don't want to discredit and act like it never happened. But yes.
And again, not us to say, right? Like,
but still,
it feels like it's getting weird. Like we don't know what to say.
Well, no. But like, let's even just say, okay, what was that? 2000,
right?
So
still long fucking time.
Yeah,
right? 30 years after the day. Yeah, yeah. It's a mess. All right, well, let's get back into hopping in the Spanish announce table and going back in time. What the hell? It's just enough. It's like back in time. It makes you want more.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And see what happened on August 3rd, 1997. WWF SummerSlam was held in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Mankind defeated Hunter Hearst Helmsley in a steel cage match. The British Bulldog retained the WWF European Championship, defeating Ken Shamrock via disqualification. The Undertaker lost the WWF World Heavyweight Championship in the main event to Bret the Hitman Hart, with Shawn Michaels acting as the special guest referee.
Hit him in the head. That's what happened.
Owen Hart lost the WWF Intercontinental Championship to this eventual WWE Hall of Famer in one of the most talked about incidents in wrestling history.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
This is Stone Cold Steve Austin when he suffered a broken neck from a botched pile driver from Owen Hart. After regaining minimal mobility, Austin rolled Hart up for the planned victory.
Which, not fun thing about that, but one thing I learned, if you watch his A&E documentary, Stone Cold Steve Austin's, he said, and maybe I'm wrong. We don't fact check, so I'm not going to go look it back up. But I think what he was saying in his A&E documentary is he did not actually break his neck when Owen Hart did that. That led to it, but he said he bruised his spine that night, and then something else then led to a broken neck.
Because as he tells it, he was paralyzed like momentarily, like immediately, and he said he immediately thought of like Christopher Reeves and was like, oh shit. And then he like was able to like move his arms and was able to crawl and was able to get up. So that indicates, again, not broken neck necessarily, right? Like something that, again, these injuries can progress, right? The idea that he regained his mobility and started crawling around was dumb on his part, right? Like, he should have stayed there. But he says, ain't no way in hell I was going to let him carry me out on a stretcher. But perhaps you should have. You might have had a little less recovery time. But definitely goes down in folklore for pro wrestling history.
Oh, yeah. Bruising your spine and losing your ability to move your arms and legs. I know that.
You know that? Man, how many episodes were we doing the Spanish announce table at the time of the neck injury?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Each week? Or was it like one of the, okay. Yeah.
No,
I remember like you used to have a scarf going on. And
Yep. Yeah, we did. Yeah, because that was after AEW had debuted. And
so yeah, we've been doing the show since AEW week in and week out, right?
Yeah, AEW debuted on my birthday in 2019. That's how I remember it. But yeah, so I've had a bruised spine. I got bit by a spider and my body was 2 times the size it should have been and red and itchy. And everyone was like, go to the doctor. I was like, but why? I don't
Here's
get
a
it.
moment
Spider.
that sticks out in the Spanish announce table is you going, I mean, you being red and swollen. I was like, what happened to you? And you're like, I got bit by a spider, but I'm like, and I was like, you should go see a doctor. And you're like, my aunt is a nurse and she gave me some meds. And you're like, I mean, they're expired, but like, they're still good.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I've been a pharmacy technician in hospitals. And I was like, okay, expiration. Here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact for you folks. Expiration on a U.S. pharmaceutical, the expiration date is the date that they can no longer guarantee through lab results that the drug is at least 90% as effective as it was the day they put it out. So I was like, yeah, yes, you could be, depending on the length of the expiration and how it's been stored and those sorts of things, right? Could be. However, it may not just be like a pill that you swallow issue that you've got going on here. If you have a spider bite, like a black widow bite, you might want to go see a doctor. And you're like, and you're like swollen and you're red.
Yep.
You're scratching a bunch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it sucked. It wasn't until my mom and Sharkbait like cornered me in my room and then took me to the whatever the fuck it was called, emergency care or whatever.
Urgent care, probably. Yeah.
Urgent care. Yeah. I've had that. Remember when the fucking cop pulled his gun out on me in the parking lot of the radio station?
Yeah, you had like Burger King in hand.
Yeah, I was at the stop sign. I guess I went too fast or whatever. I pull
Didn't
in.
stop. But again, if you know the area, nobody stops at it, right? It's
I
by
did.
a Village Inn and a parking garage. Nobody stops at it. The cop doesn't even fucking stop at it.
Yeah, but I did. I know I did. But anyhow, so then I just pull in because I don't know that a cop's behind me. Again, I got Burger King. I fucking grab my Burger King from the passenger seat, get out, and this fucking cop has his hand on his holster. I'm like, the fuck's going on? He's like, I need you to get back in the car. I'm like, the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
He's like, you were in the stop sign. I was like,
can I eat my fries?
well, no, I just said, over that, and I just pointed and then I just walked back in and he gave me a ticket and I was like, the fuck is that? And then I was supposed to do a podcast. I was so fucking pissed. Oh my god. But I think that was the night that everyone thinks we did the podcast backwards, but we obviously didn't. So
yeah, we didn't do that. We never would have done that. People sending fake things in reverse. It's weird.
No, that never happened.
Never happened. All right, we got one more day we can
Yeah.
cover here as we take our trip back in time and see what happened on this day. August 4th, 2009. WWE taped an episode of ECW in Uniondale, New York. 2009 ECW.
Not great.
With only 3 matches on the card. Ezekiel defeated Danny Danger. I don't know who the fuck that is. Sheamus defeated Goldust. And Tommy Dreamer failed to win the ECW World Heavyweight Champion in an Extreme Rules match against the reigning, defending ECW World Heavyweight Champion
Matt Hardy?
Christian. You were pretty close.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was one of those two.
Right,
Like,
yeah. Christian. When I think of hardcore Extreme Championship Wrestling, I think of Christian.
Well, tag team, yes, but yeah,
okay, maybe
not ECW, yeah. And not at that time either. He was doing his whole "I'm better than you" kind of gimmick thing. The Christian, remember that?
Yeah.
Christian,
You're on your own. That whole thing,
yeah. Basically, Randy Orton ripoff.
One of the things, okay, so I've been a Christian fan for a long time. I've always thought of him as one of my because of mostly his promo ability, right?
Yeah.
His ability to just be an asshole that you hate. And the moment that really hit home for me was when he was first going on his own and he had Tyson Tomko.
Oh, yeah.
Behind him. And Tomko, for his credit, played into being Christian's lackey perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knew to look at Christian. He knew to react to Christian. He knew to say nothing else, right? And Christian's like, he's feuding with Randy Orton or something. Somebody's like, mentions Randy Orton. He's like, Randy Orton? What are you? He's like, are you talking about the guy who just does this all day long? And held up his arms in Randy Orton's pose for way too long, right? The camera's just waiting on him. And Tomko's like mesmerized, right? And he brings it back down. He's like, you talking about that guy? And I was just like, I think I like this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like Christian is the guy who, for better or worse, has been, I feel like, he had that run with Randy Orton with the one last match thing, which is kind of his height of heights. But I felt like he could have been at that height of heights a few more times than he was.
Oh, yeah. I honestly, my favorite time of Christian wasn't in WWE. It was in TNA when he was the heavyweight champion in TNA and he had Tomko with him there. Yeah, always been a big fan of Christian. Really liked him.
All right, so that's it for On This Day, man. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. We've had a lot to talk about this week. We've talked about 10 years of the Spanish Announce Table. Tom's probably got to piss. We got to speed this up.
Yeah, so we're going to just drive by this. So I'm not going to get into too many details. So the first match of the night was Orange Cassidy and AR Fox. Orange Cassidy won. Then afterwards, he would put the glasses on AR Fox. AR Fox is like, that's cool. And then turn on him, which brought out Darby Allin saying, what the fuck are you doing about this? So what did you think of that?
I loved this in that fact. One, I was like, oh shit, right? Holy, I did not see that coming whatsoever, right? They played it all well. I thought they were going to do a Hogan must pose. Everybody claps for Orange Cassidy. Let's move on to the next match.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the Darby Allin response where he's immediately out there like, bitch, what did you fucking do? That you fucking embarrassed me. I fucking vouched for you and you fucking did this. Like he's shoving him. He's like, fuck you. Like, I can't believe you did this. Right. And AR Fox, look, I want to say, like, you shouldn't have the same confused look as Nick Wayne, an 18-year-old kid on your face as to your actions when you're 78 years old or whatever the fuck you are, right? Like I was like, all right, calm it down a little bit as you're like, I don't know what I did, right? Like, but, for whatever, that worked, right? I like that Darby Allin's like, bitch, we got that immediate response like, I didn't ask for me a match, I asked for you, and you did this. I loved that.
Yeah. And so the other part of the story here is that as that's going on, Jon Moxley, who was given a receipt to Orange Cassidy, goes in the ring and beats his ass. So it looks like potentially, and we'll talk about probably a little bit more later, Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. You like that?
Shocking. That's what I said this on the threads. I think you were live tweeting, and I went on the threads, and I was like, I was legitimately shocked, something along these lines, by everything with this Orange Cassidy segment. Like, great work here. I was really surprised.
Very good. I want to talk about this one probably more next week, but Don Callis got Chris Jericho to agree to a match with him and Takeshita versus Guevara and Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia.
Can we talk about the Don Callis scar? It's growing, right?
It has to.
It's getting bigger. It's like going down by his eyebrow now, going up over. I want this thing to like circle around and make loops on his head. Love it. Speaking of creator wrestlers for Fight Forever, Don Callis is my current FTW champion in the Tim universe of AEW Fight Forever.
Oh, he should be a body. He should be somebody in the game. That would be awesome. Also, again, Don Callis gave Chris Jericho an amazing painting of Bad News Allen, of a watchful eye over Don Callis and Chris Jericho.
The Don Callis painting thing. And we'll see more of this later. We'll talk about more about it.
Keep it going.
More of it.
Yeah.
He's always giving people paintings. I want it.
Yeah, love it. All right, so then we keep it moving. Jack Perry comes out, still with that weird music. He has an I Beat Hook shirt, and essentially is like, hey, this title sucks until I got it. Now it's actually something, but I don't respect the lineage of it. Taz sucks. ECW sucks. They all suck. And then out of left field, Jerry Lynn, who was an ECW guy, I'm not saying he wasn't, that wasn't the shocking part, but that of anyone, he comes out and they're like, next week, why don't we do this again? Because there was no match made or anything. So that was a little clunky.
Odd. Again, it's one of these where we deride AEW on this. You don't tell us enough. If I'm a new young fan watching AEW, I don't know who the fuck Jerry Lynn is, and you didn't tell me at all. You barely told me that he was a producer. Like, you might have told me if I go back and watch Dynamite that he's a ECW or a pro wrestling legend or something, but you didn't tell me that he was like AEW producer and happens to work backstage. Because to me, why the fuck is this old guy coming out in street clothes? You know what I mean? Like, and maybe they did. Maybe, again, look, I don't always watch this with every ear turned it right into it, and maybe they said works backstage in an on-screen role or something. So forgive me if I'm wrong, but I didn't get across that they told a good job of that.
Yeah, I agree. They didn't do like, oh my God, they're kind of just like, oh, it's Jerry Lynn. All right. And then, the clunkiness of, well, next week, why don't we talk again?
Yeah.
All right.
And look, again, I think Jungle Boy is getting better each week. I think this
Jack Perry
is better this week than he was last week.
Oh, yeah.
There is a weird thing where he keeps looking behind him when nobody's there. There is that. But, like, I get it. He's getting into this new thing. I think, and I said this to you, I think the FTW Championship is obviously a bit of an oddball and will travel around often, occasionally to some different folks. But I think anybody that wins it must do like Hook did and immediately change all of their gear that they wear to orange and black. Like, you can't wear anything but orange and black if you ever hold the FTW Championship for whatever reason.
Jack Perry did that.
Yeah, Jack Perry did that. Yeah. Jack Perry. I don't want him to come beat me up. Or have his girlfriend try to beat me up. She seems the more vicious one, but
that'd be okay.
Give it a shot. Hey, give it a try.
See what happens.
I'm feeling frisky. Let's give it a go.
All right. Then after that, we get I don't know if we're going to talk about this one much. Gravity, who fucking walks out. Versus Pac, and Pac wins here.
So hold on. I thought this was a joke. I thought when you sent me a few days ago Pac versus Gravity, I was like, funny. I thought that was a Photoshop.
No.
Can we discuss then, okay, aside from the idea that Pac was the man who Gravity forgot, and they did say that on the show, and great, and he's even like, hey, did you fucking forget who I am, right? Gravity is a dumb fucking name for a flips and shit luchador. You're anti-gravity.
No, wow.
You are not Gravity.
Look, I'm not trying to be
right. What am I wrong?
Well, this is what I will say. I don't want to be myopic here and think that the only cool shit comes from America, but because that's not true. However, if you look around,
the only shit cool to an American has come from an American.
Well, no, because but what I will say, because Pac I like, right?
Yeah.
But what I will say is I have seen a ton of fucking gimmicks. Like, what's his ass over there in New Japan who does the air guitar, and that's fucking cool, apparently. And then we got Gravity, who's like, who's the fucking the ace? He was on the last
Dana Brooke.
No, god dang it, what was his? Not Takeshita. That's what the name keeps coming to my mind. Who say it in the chat because I know you fucking will. Oh god dang it! But anyhow, we got him that plays the guitar. No, it's the other guy, the older guy that took on Moxley when the title was vacant, and then this year took on MJF in the first match of the night. No, I don't remember that fucking. Anyhow, someone will tell us. But that guy plays the air guitar. We got Gravity in Mexico. We got other fucking Blue Demon in Mexico who's just, I get blue, like Blue Cane, Fucking, there you go. There's enough Blue Canes.
I want to see if we can book Blue Cane for an interview.
Don't. Well, you interview him because I don't want to fucking talk to that guy. Yeah,
we'll do one of those. We did an interview like this on Fight Show Live where one guy did the interview, but two guys sounded like they did the interview when it played.
Yeah, I interviewed former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir, and then Ozone, who almost saw a cat get hit by a car, had to pull over and cry, and then came in 30 minutes late after we were done with the interview. Yep. That's who I was working with before.
Sniffing
Ken.
a lot. Sniffing
no, he wasn't. He was into that. He was into that alcohol. Boy, it's like, oh, I got gout. It's like, motherfucker, you had 13 gin and tonics last night. Like, fucking, no wonder your feet are swollen. Anyhow, that's a side note. They're gonna fucking.
How's he doing? You talked to him lately?
No, he fucking left for Florida, and you know what? He talks to everyone in Kansas City except for me and Sharkbait. And we were fucking there for him every.
I'm gonna try to reach out and see if he'll talk to me.
Oh, he will. He'll be like, what's
Yeah,
up, man?
will, yeah. Hey, man, been nice to see you. Been a long time.
The two motherfuckers that were there every fucking.
One of my favorite memories too, related to the show, but not in any way related to this show, is because I met you doing the Fight Show Live, and you're doing the show with Ozone. I'm going to school and have to do an article on non-traditional students. Right? Folks who are not the 18 to 22-year-olds who are going back to school. I've got to do a report on that in our journalism degree. And I'm running out of people to find, right? Because I'm like, everybody doesn't want to do it. They're like, fucking get out of here, loser, right? Like, old guy right here in college. And I walk into the break room one day, and there's Ozone sitting there eating some fucking donuts or something, working on a paper. I was like, what are you fucking doing here? And his question is, what are you fucking doing here? And I was like, well, listen, I got a thing for you. Yeah, man, I love the fucking Ozone. Good guy. All right, let's get back into this. AEW Dynamite.
Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's who
Tanahashi.
that fucking does the air guitar. That's stupid. There it is. I looked it up because it was bothering me. Okay, what was after that? Let me check. Gravity, whatever. Adam Cole and MJF. They, more MJF than anyone, mocked FTR. And I know you want to talk about this, so we'll take a pause real quick here to get your thoughts on MJF and Adam Cole. And then let's also talk, I guess, about the FTR promo as well.
Well, MJF murdered Dax here, right? I mean, he shit on Cash with the mullet, and everybody shit on Cash with the mullet. But the whole making fun of the repetitiveness of the Dax promos as of late, and we've talked about this. Dax has been great. He's carried FTR. He's been a great promo.
Mm-hmm.
But MJF's right. They've all been the same lately. And then the line that took me for a loss, or, caught me unaware, was the whole, oh, no flips, no fists, blah, blah, making fun of his accent. And he's like, well, I'm going to take this fist, and I'm going to shove it so far down your throat that you're going to be forced to spit out CM Punk's jockstrap. Was the most hilarious fucking line I've heard in wrestling in a long time. Yeah. I didn't hear anything else MJF said for a solid minute and a half because I was laughing so hard, right? Just done. And I think MJF or Adam Cole even kind of had to be like, holy shit, right? I didn't expect that line. And that's the beauty of MJF, right? He is able to kind of, in show, still throw out something for us over here outside the show. And he's spot on with the Dax thing. You mentioned this in one of your live tweets. By the way, you tweet during the Dynamites, the Collisions, the Rampages, whenever you can, often every time. And you mentioned when Dax was giving that promo of why he hated the dance off with MJF,
Collision.
Adam Cole, and all them, right? And he's like, I worked 10 fucking years to bring legitimacy back or whatever, blah, 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 or to be given the chance for the opportunity to vie for the title. And here you are in a title match thing. And I thought, okay, again, got to remember, peeking behind the curtain, we're watching a show. He's giving a promo. This isn't necessarily the guy who plays Dax Harwood's thoughts. So maybe I'm getting worked and maybe Dax is really good here because he's cutting a promo that I hate. But to me, Dax Harwood is another one of those guys who you mentioned Low-Key last week who kind of thinks this thing is a little more real than it is. Mm-hmm. And to Dax, I'm thinking, okay, well, if we're looking through it through that lens, You busted your ass for 10 years, like you said, to get a shot at the titles, right? To give some legitimacy to tag team wrestling. But I'm sorry that you're upset that MJF and Adam Cole didn't need to do that to accomplish the same results. Man, I've busted my ass, Tom. Worked really hard. And almost vomited to be the 4th best basketball player at a Lifetime Fitness in the middle of fucking Kansas. Like, but some guy could walk in there and ball me out of the fucking court because he was born with better genetics. Like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't mean that he's degraded the sport. Right. He's just better than I am. Not that pro wrestling is a sport, but you get what I'm saying here, right?
Well, and even just to take, if you're using that as a shoot, there are so many podcasts, speaking about us and other podcasts, that are just famous people talking into a microphone.
Right.
And because they're famous, they're getting 5 times the views that we are when we're obviously more fucking talented.
We don't see us there crying and saying that they're somehow an asshole because of it.
Yeah.
Like that they don't deserve it.
Hey, look.
Like, we've never said that.
Yeah, look, if you love Scooby-Doo and you still listen to Freddie Prinze Jr., good on you, but that show fucking, whatever. That show sucks.
Hey, listen, Freddie, you want to come on and interview? Well, I'd love to have you, but
Well, it'll be more entertaining than your podcast. We ain't going to yours, we'll tell you that much. Fucking, it's miserable. Okay, so that's the first part, right? MJF does all the great stuff and he's talking all the stuff. Then the second half of this promo, though, is he looks to Adam Cole. Adam Cole says, hey, look, last week when I looked at your title, or I guess it was that night or whatever it was, because it was taped the previous week, but he's like, I didn't mean it. Like, I really did not mean it. Okay. Like, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. And MJF is like, hey, you know what, man? I believe you. And this was the fucking most interesting thing I thought from the show. Regardless of what happens, not if we win, not, if we lose, well, then I'll give you this. It's win, lose, or draw. I'll give you another shot at the championship. And Adam Cole is like, well, you're just my best friend. He kind of said that before, but then he was like, this is the best. And before they could, like, I guess, double clothesline each other, or whatever the fuck they're into, creative character runs in with his neck brace, and he's like, God, how are you not seeing this? And they're like, hey, and MJF's like, get your guy taken care of. What the fuck is this? I'm out of here. And Adam Cole's like, dude, you're pushing me away because you're being so fucking obsessive about who I like and who I don't like. Fuck's going on with you?
Hold on. That conversation of Adam Cole explaining to him, look, you're being possessive. I have other friends than you, was one of the most unique things I've seen in pro wrestling ever, right? It was listen, we're dating, but we're not exclusive.
Mm-hmm. It was
talk,
real.
Right?
Yeah.
With the thing. And that's, I guarantee you, not even in a dating setting like I just presented here, there's been people who you know, and maybe yourself listening right now, who have had a friend who has been like, fuck you, buddy, you like that guy? And you're like, listen, you don't have to like all of my friends, right? Like, we're a friend, and I can be a friend with them. But I understand I can't invite you guys to the same party. But, like, I'm not. So, like, why are you mad at me right now?
Oh, yeah. When my friends found out about Sharkbait and how we're becoming good friends, and they're like, what the fuck's that guy? He's an asshole. I'm like, okay, I like him.
People probably be like, you like that fucking guy? Whenever they meet me. And you're like, well, listen, I mean, we've had a podcast for 10 years.
No, they fucking hated. No, they hated Sharkbait.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I get it, but like, I fucking like him, so shut up, you know?
Like, listen, all the reasons you hate him are the reasons you would hate me if you didn't get to know me already.
Oh no, these were like BFF friends, like from like childhood. Like at my wedding, they're like, that guy was your best man. I'm like, yeah, the fuck it was. Like, shut up. You aren't, bitch.
This is another fun story of the Spanish announce table. You're getting married. You send me an invitation. You said, hey, listen, Sharkbait has a situation where he may not be able to be at the event. Suit or something, right? Like, I can't remember what was going on. Or he had to go to a Evolve show. And you were like, would you be able to be a stand-in if I needed? And I was like, well, of course, man. Of course, right? Like, we've been friends for a long time. And I was like, but wouldn't you just get one of the other, you know, congregation or whatever they call it, right? Like the procession, right?
Yeah.
One of the other best men. And you were like, Tim, first of all, I love you. You're like, for thinking that I have more friends than just shark baiting you.
To give you guys a little insight on the wedding, it was a 1-1. Okay, we did a 1-1.
You didn't have a whole line of groomsmen. You had you and a best man. You were like, no. This isn't like, which honestly, at a point, like I had never thought about it till that moment, but I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case where he did have a line of friends, I'm not in Tom's top 5 of best friends, right? Like, it never hit me till you said that. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, well, cool. All right. I'm number 2. Right. I was like, I can live with that.
Yeah. I found in so many wedding parties that I was in where guys were like looking at me like, how the fuck did you get up there? And I'm like, he picked me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I
went out with this guy one time. He fucking thought it was funny. I don't know.
Well, like that. But so we decided. And Emily also, my wife, she was like, hey, look, this will get weird because then like if we do 4,
if you have 5, the 6th person's gonna be like, who the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I was just like, why don't we just do 1-1? She's like, perfect. And I think we got the idea from another wedding. But yeah, so but anyhow, going back to Sharkbait, when people were meeting him that I was friends with like from middle school, they're like, fuck that guy. I was like, well, I guess you gotta go because I like hanging out with him because you're being obsessive.
Always been a fun guy to me. Always been fucking friendly and fun to me. Boundaries.
But what Adam Cole said at the end, going back to AEW, he said boundaries because now here's where, again, we're going to see what happens on Saturday night. If you watch, there's a million things going on Saturday night. But if you watch, they're going to have that match. So here's my question to you. And this is kind of the only deep dive I want to do on the episode because a lot of it was fun, but not crazy. And we've been doing this for 2 hours. So after hell yeah. So after Adam Cole leaves, Project Strong looks at Renee and was like, you see it, right? And she's like, yeah, what the hell? Like, what is Adam Cole doing? And then they go to commentary and Tony Schiavone's like, I don't get how he's not seeing this. Like, what is going on with Adam Cole? So let's just do a quick prediction. We do an Adam Cole turns heel because he thinks MJF is going to do it first, or what are we doing with this match on Saturday night? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. So the thing with AEW, Tony Khan's booking or whoever you want to say it is, the thing that they've yet to do is have monumental swerves. They did the MJF swerves, the inner circle, and then he had the pinnacle, which was outstanding. But MJF was kind of also the asshole that we kind of knew. So the only thing that was surprising is that he also had a group, not that he turned on the inner circle, right? And there's been some other things, debuts, things like that. So on that hand, 4 years in, I don't know if they necessarily are going to do the WWE trope of someone turns on someone. What my gut says, and I could be completely wrong, because again, I thought you kept Alex Smith, not started Patrick Mahomes, so I'm a fucking idiot. But what I think they may do is have them lose legit. FTR, miscommunication, right? And it's not like a with mean spirit, but like Adam Cole clotheslines MJF, then turns around and they do the shatter machine. That's how FTR wins, right? But then on Wednesday, they come out and maybe it's just one of them. Say Adam Cole's like, man, I'm so sorry for hitting you, MJF. Like, what the hell? And MJF is like, yeah, man, it's all good. Don't worry about it. And Adam Cole's like, no, I am serious. And he goes, hey, look, those titles meant fucking nothing to me. I got the championship. That's the only title that matters. And then Adam Cole goes, oh, so none of this meant anything to you? Well, then now I want your championship. And now they do this whole, but we're cool, right? Yeah, no, we're cool. But then each week it's like a fuck you until we get to All In, which I think that's where they're going to have their match. And then we do now at the time of the pay-per-view, they really fucking hate each other through all these little death by 1,000 paper cuts. And then we get this fucking build.
So we just get a slow unrupturing of the friendship that was building.
Till the week before when it's an all out drag out fight. And then it's, oh my God, I can't wait to see who wins, right? Because we're going to build up Adam Cole to me. Maybe he could beat MJF, which he won't, but you know what I'm saying? That's what I think. So, yeah.
Not bad. Mr. Fourth Row just joined us in the chat and he says, hey, man, Mr. Fourth Row, we had a blast with your audio submission earlier. You will have to go back if you did not catch us live and check the podcast or the replay of the live stream. But it was so fun. Thanks for joining.
It was great. Yes. Yeah. And of course, thanks for joining. Love all you guys that are in the guys and girls that are in the chat. All right, let's keep it moving at super speed here. We get Jericho Appreciation Society saying, Jericho, fuck you. And he says, well, I don't know why you did that. See what happens. We also got Darby Allin and Swerve Strickland. Go ahead. What were you going to say about Jericho?
That Jericho Appreciation Segment Society with them backstage. Was that the one you were just talking about?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Can I address, like, okay, yeah, we got all of them saying, like, hey, like, what's up with you? You don't appreciate us, all that. Matt Menard, the whole time, doing nothing but staring at the painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then being, like, the voice of reason, Jericho at the end was a curveball I did not expect, but I loved 100%, where he's like, you think this is easy for me? And he's like, yeah, no, this looks pretty fucking easy, man. Like, fix it.
Yeah.
And just walks out the most bombastic character of them all.
Yeah, that was
the guy like, hey man, fucking fix it.
Yeah, the most exaggerated personality was the most timid and down to earth and straightforward. Yeah, it was a great change of pace. Definitely liked it. Also, we had Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland. Great match, which then saw from earlier AR Fox say, no, fuck Darby Allin. I'm with the Embassy. And so now we got a new member with Swerve. Swerve gets the win. Here's my thing. I don't know if we needed another member of the Embassy. I think we could have done AR Fox turns on Darby. Swerve goes, yeah, that guy fucking sucks. And then just walks off.
100%, because here's what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen with the Embassy and AR Fox. Like, he's not going to add to the Embassy. The Embassy isn't going to add to AR Fox. They're not going to suddenly feature the Embassy more because AR Fox is a member. It just feels like somebody brought up the idea, and whoever is approving it, Tony Khan or whomever, right, says, yeah, that works, fine. It just felt kind of empty to me, right? Like, it felt like, hey, we already did a thing with AR Fox. This feels weird, right? Like, I didn't understand necessarily why we were doing this to this level.
I haven't. Right. So this is my theory is, you see AR Fox a lot on Ring of Honor, right? If you watch Ring of Honor when it's debuts on Thursday nights or whenever on demand on the Ring of Honor app, you see AR Fox a lot. And you got the guy that broke his leg from Top Flight coming back soonish, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so that's what's being.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
So my theory is we're going to do maybe a couple tag matches with Swerve and AR Fox on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, whatever it is, get some victories. Well, this AR Fox, he ain't that fucking bad. And then he's going to make his way back over to Ring of Honor, where the other Embassy members are the trio champs. And then when Top Flight gets full strength with Action Andretti and all those guys. Then we're gonna do.
So this decision was made with ROH in mind and the overall arcing thing. Yeah.
Because if you like AR Fox on AEW, and then Excalibur says we've got a last man standing match between Top Flight 1 and AR Fox, well, then you might
to me,
get the
I just felt like I had been riding high on this Dynamite through the first half and a little beyond of thinking, man, they are killing it with the storytelling, with the promos, the vignettes, minimal matches, right? We don't need 8 matches in a 2-hour show. You can give me 3 to 4 if you're telling me good stories in and around those matches. And I felt like they were doing a great job of that. This one just felt like they added and also, right? Like, and it just kind of felt like, you didn't need that, right? Like, he could have turned on them in that match, everything been the same without necessarily aligning with Mogul Entertainment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
which is what you said.
It was right. But this was I thought it was a good story. Honestly, I thought if you're rebooking this show, this should have been the main event because the main event was a tad clunky. But that's what happened. And then, as mentioned, Jericho Appreciation Society in the background or in the backstage talking about their stuff. And then, Tim, we've already reached to that point because we're going at a breakneck speed, kind of like typical AEW shows. And just like typical AEW shows, right before the main event, you ready to do it? It's a new,
of course. 10-year anniversary, might as well,
Well, it's a new staple of our show, right? It's the newest staple in AEW or in Spanish Announce Table history from AEW.
Let me do my vocal warm-ups.
Me.
If you smell, okay, all right, we're ready.
Out now, brown cow. All right, Tim, it's right before the main event, so you know what that means.
I'm checking my watch.
It's time
for
the
women explosions.
Boom. And this match stunk.
That was the most elaborate time for the women that we've
it's getting
special
better.
Effects.
Yeah. Keep it going, AEW. You don't know what we're gonna do next week. This match was Britt Baker versus Taya Valkyrie. And I told you this before we started recording 8 hours ago, that fucking Taya Valkyrie is a mismatch of 36 characters that I don't like. They all suck. I don't look Cucaracha or whatever the fuck she calls herself. Then she's doing ballet hands because look, I did ballet, I guess. I'm Valkyrie, but I'm not a Viking like the Viking Raiders in WWE. But I dance to dance music like I'm Naomi, but that's not really who I am either. And then I'm a face because we're in Canada, but now I'm a heel because we're in America. So are you doing a Bret Hart thing? No, you're not. So it just all fucking sucks. It just sucks. And
I agree. I've seen nothing. I tried to give this Tyra Valkyrie thing a chance because of the weight the name carried from the independent wrestling fans. Everybody was like, oh, no. Okay. Now we finally improved the division. And I will give you this. Serviceable, does everything fine. Nothing bad, right? Like, well, I mean, everybody's got their own things, right? But I would say average or better at most things. But that's it, right? I'm like, okay, average or better. And if you're saying that's a major improvement to the AEW women's roster, so be it. Maybe, perhaps I might be reluctantly inclined to agree with you. However, I don't think that means that this is a great, like, injection into the arm, right? I feel like it's more like, okay, but we should have been at least here. At least here.
Look, Britt Baker has given us enough body of work in her time in AEW to where we at least know, unless she's broken leg, broken face, broken something, that she's going to fucking give us a serviceable match at worst. So far, every fucking match I've seen of Taya Valkyrie, this is outside of the character that I hate, right? So then I go, well, let's see how she wrestles. This is nothing about her appearance besides the character thing that I mentioned, but it's slow. It's methodical in the sense that it's slow, but like doesn't look like there's a plan, but no, there is a plan because I'm a veteran. And it's just I have not been impressed by any of her matches. All of her matches have been paint by numbers, but the person doing the painting is a 3-year-old. Like, it's fucking not good. And so I'm over her. Like, what? Here's the other thing. Everyone has told me personally and online, oh, you got to see Lucha Underground. And I told you this as well. Like, I didn't watch Lucha Underground every fucking week, but you know what? I knew who Prince Puma was. I knew that Vampiro was there. Well, Vampiro. Like, the good ones get my attention, and she never did. So I'm fucking sorry, but
let me excuse me.
Yeah.
Let me also say this. Let me also say this. I tried very hard to give Lucha Underground a very solid chance because I saw the same potential in Lucha Underground as a whole. I thought, hey, here's the thing that's going to be much more storyline driven, cinematic driven, right? But even though that was the case, just saying, hey, I prefer more storyline driven and cinematic driven doesn't mean that when you do it more in the vein of storylines in cinema, that you're going to be good at doing that, right? And I don't feel like they necessarily nailed it, right? Like, yes, they made it cinematic. Yes, they made it storyline driven, but it wasn't very captivating because I didn't keep tuning in.
Well, yeah, I mean, their thing, much like who we were talking about earlier tonight, where it's like the one note, kind of like Corey Graves. I felt like Lucha Underground
Very
season one was fucking awesome, but then after season one, it was like, well, you already did this. But now,
same thing over and over again. Yeah.
But now Rey Mysterio's here, and it's like, okay, well, that got me for 2 weeks, but now I'm kind of uninterested again.
Yeah, it was like, oh no, person debuts at the top of the balcony and they jump off of it. It was like, okay, you did that with John Morrison, and you did that with Prince Puma and whomever.
Yeah. So good in concept, good on paper, not good in practice, I would say. But still, it made its mark. It did its thing, but she didn't because she stinks. Now it could change, right? I used to hate, not so recently, Rock Hard. The Rock is hard. I hated that motherfucker. And now on Saturday nights, I get a little giddy when I see him out there because he's a fucking wild man. And I kind of like that.
It's having a bit of a Bo Dallas effect on you.
Exactly. So Taya has time. I'm not writing her off and saying, she's the fucking worst Great Khali, but right now I
will say Taya has some tools to be able to deliver what we would like in pro wrestling. Currently, she hasn't, but everybody tells me like, well, you should just trust that she's good. And I'm like, all right, well, okay, but I've yet to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple tools. You sound sexist. The main event.
Yeah, good pair of tools she's got, right?
Yeah, we know what you're talking about. The main
That's
event.
not what I meant, but that's also not wrong. I mean, we're not going to lie about that. I mean, now that you bring it up, now that you mentioned it.
Hey, I'm just repeating what you said.
I mean, if you want to discuss that I might like him thick, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we can discuss, but I'm saying you brought it up.
Yeah.
You brought it up.
You haven't denied.
Britt
Baker won that match. Yeah, Britt Baker won that match, so that happened. And then, because it was the only time we see the women, we move right back to the men, and it's time for the main event.
Back to the fellas.
Back to the men, because this match.
Jocks.
Why did I don't? Okay. Anyway, I get that there was some story, but okay, it was fine.
This felt weird to me. This is where I said, like, going into the first half of the show and a little beyond, I was like, this might be the best AEW Dynamite ever. I texted you. I was like, for one of the rare instances, I was able to kind of catch moderately live, right? I'd have to pause and come back, but I was only a few minutes behind. And I was telling you, I was like, this is amazing. They're doing such great work with the storytelling, the promos, the vignettes, all of that in between stuff, right? Reading between the lines. And then the last half felt like, I want to say it was bad, but it just felt like it started to drag and felt more, and I get it. It's a pro wrestling show. You're going to end on matches, right? So we had 2 matches featured in the end half kind of, but it just felt off from the first half of the show.
Well, it felt like his Excel spreadsheet printed out wrong and was given out to people in the wrong order, because this felt like the middle of the show, but it was the main event. But what we're talking about here, actually, let me pause. I will agree with you on that. What I actually like the most about this is, unlike our recap tonight, because we've been doing this for 11 hours, they had a steady
and
pace
counting.
Well, they did a steady pace of each segment, and they gave us recaps of past stories with enough time for it to breathe. Like, we won't cover it here, we'll cover it next week, but like Billy Gunn teasing a retirement, or Andrade doing the ladder match for his mask. Like, everything got time, and that's one of the things I like the best about it. But like you said, the second
I think the first 60 to 75 minutes was done almost exquisitely. Like, I want to show people, like, this is how you do it.
Yeah, right. But we get to our main events: the Best Friends versus Lucha Bros versus Blackpool Combat Club. Typical fun, but again, nothing to write home about. Who got the win? It was the Lucha Bros. They got the win because Orange Cassidy comes down and then gets choked by Jon Moxley.
Right. Again, I know what we did earlier, and there's continuity, and you're bringing them back out, and we're fighting, and we're whatever, but it just felt kind of like, oh, this is because you wanted to circle back and tie everything back together, but I don't think we needed it. I felt like that could happen next week.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind it, except for Orange Cassidy just got his ass kicked. He was like, yeah, what's up? He threw his glasses at him and then just gets choked on the ground. He's like, right. And like Moxley's looking back. He's like, you want me to keep doing this?
Well,
okay,
this
I'm gonna
is
keep doing
similar
it.
to my hot tag failed, right, experiment where, like, you can come out talking tough. You think you got a vendetta, but you can get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
You sent me a video earlier where, like, a guy showed up and was like, oh, you're talking trash online. I'm showing up to beat your ass. And he's like, you walked into a boxing gym? Like, and thought you were just okay, and just proceeded to beat the shit out of that guy at his every attempt. The guy made a step and he just knocked him to the floor, and he was like, dude, you came to me. Like, you fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
Like, that's how kind of, that's right.
Definitely. So Lucha Bros get the victory because Moxley is distracted. The pin is taken by the Best Friends. Post-match, though, looks like all hell broke loose, and then we're getting a singles match between one of the members of each team, because next week, which will be most likely a fun show, is AEW Dynamite 200. So that's what we have to look forward to, Tim.
Interesting,
and that was Dynamite,
right?
Yeah.
Do you think, when it's all said and done, what will have lasted longer? Now, granted, we have a head start, but the Spanish announce table or All Elite Wrestling? We've got a 7-year head start or something like that. 6-year head start. I don't know.
Yeah, brother, I don't have a life. As long as you keep answering these Zoom calls, I'll be doing this till I'm in the dirt. Okay, which might not be that long.
Yeah, I mean, if one of us dies prematurely, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it ends. But until first you notice, like, we ain't got no friends. Like, we're here talking to you guys because we need friends. So.
Yeah. So unless this tumor fucking grows into my heart and I'm fucking done in 5 or 6 weeks,
Tom's heart, that will cause Tom's heart to grow 3 sizes that day.
Exactly. Yeah, so
I love that. When they talk about the Grinch, like, his heart grew 3 sizes that day. I'm like, that sounds like a tumor. Like, you should have got medical assistance.
Hell yeah. Which, by the way, kind of closing the loop on all the fun shit that we've gone through. Next Thursday marks a new time in my life. I start radiation. So there you go.
Yeah.
That'll be the first day of radiation for 6 weeks.
So we've talked about Tom's ailments over the years, but this might be, you know what I mean? Like, this hasn't been a Tom ailment like this yet.
Yeah.
So if you're a long-term listener, if you're a new listener, if you've been captivated by the years of the Spanish announce table, by the ailments of Tom, there's more to come, right?
We got more.
We're only going to lead you with more cliffhangers. It's only getting bigger and better. We're only pushing that envelope as you stay tuned.
Will radiation work, or will he die?
As you stay tuned to the continuing saga that is the Spanish announce table.
The Spanish announce table.